please make their way to their chairs. We're gonna start with a picture. So if everyone could make their way in here, make their way to their seats, we'll get started momentarily. Legislative cabinet first, and then we'll do a picture with all of Senate, if that works for everyone.
Oh goodness.
And we need one volunteer, one excellent photographer to take this photo. Thank you.
Volunteers.
I am photography. Go for it, Kim. Right, we want like portrait mode, like a wide angle.
I want the fish.
All right, legislative cabinet. If y'all come up to the front, we'll take a picture first, and then we'll do all of Senate.
Need the wide angle. Jackson got the shoulders.
Oh yeah.
Go for it, cabinet.
Yeah, let's go in front.
Where are we going?
We'll go right in front.
They're coming
Right in
around.
front. Okay.
I feel way too.
I want to stand behind the guy.
How good are you all editing?
No.
I feel very short next to Jackson. That's not happening.
How good are you all
I don't know.
editing?
Stand right here, Alex.
A lot.
Charlie, take the.
Here, y'all.
We need to
stand.
like each other.
Should we-
Second.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
there's a few shorties.
I think those
Am I?
were.
Should I?
You get a good turn. Then I don't feel so short next to you.
Take a picture of me first. Okay, I'm trying to get the ASCSU back.
Don't get my leg.
Okay, do you guys like want to come here up? Want the
Yes,
body?
yes, because I'm
Yeah.
ending.
Okay. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Do we want the whole Senate at the front or just like chambers?
I feel like chambers is way too wide to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone can come to the front. We can organize it a little bit.
Oh Lord.
I am.
I'd like to sit.
That's what's nice about being up front.
I would like to be.
I'll go stack coming from exactly.
Yeah, well,
If someone from the judicial branch,
Is everyone fun?
Back
Back
I
I
That's
go.
the most backhanded compliment ever.
Back I go.
if a lovely member from the judicial branch would like to take our photo, thank you.
All
I
right,
know, I
5
love
minutes.
it.
Front row.
Wait,
Yeah, let's
Titanic moment?
organize 2 rows here.
There's so many. I
Mine.
can like tippy toe.
If you are shorter than Kevin Clark,
Oh, he's so
please
tall.
go into the second row.
Oh, that's.
So.
If you are shorter
I
than
look really tall too.
Rob Long,
No,
go
if you
into
put
the
your-
second row, please. Thank you.
Woo! Sorry, Al. Bye bye, Al.
Kim's fat.
All right. How does that look? Looks good? Okay, and is there a spot for me?
Row? Do we need a third row?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Like,
I think we're good enough.
are you just
Can I
gonna
stand back here?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Get on top
Yeah,
of
get on
it.
top of the.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, now he looks like Jesus.
We're his disciples. All down.
Okay, good.
Pray to Jackson.
I'll stand up here.
Everybody get funny.
Hey,
I was too late.
all right. Will everyone please make their way to their seats?
No.
You want to picture yourself?
No, it's all gone. Everyone move.
Yeah.
Thanks. Four now?
Let's see.
There you go. Yeah, I was about to be like. No. Oh, yeah. That's so. Yeah. Oh my gosh, your forehead. That's what I wrote. Oh, shit. So much.
We'll now call to order. If you are willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now read the land acknowledgement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also the site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as the original stewards of this land and all relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion, and significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. Will the Speaker Pro Tempore please call the roll of the clerk?
Chair Apey. Here. Senator Bilodeau.
Excuse.
Senator Brown. Senator Burge. Senator Cardosetto Perez. Here. Senator Correa. Senator Deason. Present. Senator Epperson. Here. Senator Kramer. Senator Long.
Here.
Senator May. Here. Senator Mumford. Senator Nivert. Senator Kyfrom. Chair Ritter. Present. Senator Sandoval. Here. Senator Shepherd.
Present.
Senator Scherer. Here. Chair Silverheart.
Present.
Senator Chin. Present. Officer Torres Doxey.
Present.
Senator Trout.
Present.
Chair Welch.
Present.
Senator Waller.
Present.
Senator Williamson. Present. Senator Sanchez. Here. Senator Nguyen.
Here.
Senator Rencher. Here. Associate Senator Dorak. Associate Senator Quintana.
Here.
Associate Senator Reeves. Associate Senator Abdunabi. Present. Speaker of the Senate Hunter.
Here.
Speaker Pro Tempore Baum,
Here.
Parliamentarian Clerk.
Present.
Were there any names not called? Chair Morgan is present. Any other names not called? Seeing none, we will move forward in our agenda. Senator Long,
I'll make a motion to include the fight song at the end of the agenda.
there's been a motion to include the fight song at the end of the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, all for,
Aye.
all against,
Nay.
division. Please raise your placard if you approve of this motion. Please.
It's the last one. It's the last night.
I love you guys.
Thank you. And all against?
Absolutely.
Thank you. This motion passes. Will the parliamentarian please add the fight song to the agenda? Y'all better practice. It's been a while. All right. We'll now move forward in our agenda. We will move into consent agenda. Is there any dissent to last week's minutes? Parliamentarian clerk.
Mr. Speaker, I move to add the minutes from the April 13th Senate session and the minutes from the April 20th Senate session, and then moving our consent agenda to after old business and before committee reports.
Is there a second?
Second.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion passes.
And I can just clarify that very quickly. We're in the process right now, just finishing up on those minutes, the clerk and I. So yeah, just moving it down to the bottom of old business would be very much appreciated.
Thank you. Will you reflect those changes in the agenda? We will now move into gallery input. Just for extremely clear clarification, if you are back there in those seats, I think y'all all know that, but that is time for all of y'all to speak. I have not made that clear at the last few meetings, but that is time for all of y'all to speak. Is there any input from the gallery? No, gallery input. Yeah. Seeing none, we will now move into executive reports. Is there a member from the executive branch that would like to speak? President Dixon. Speak.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all. A few quick updates. Well, I'll start with the quick updates and then I share some words of reflection at the end, if that's all right. Starting with Pacific, we met yesterday, the Provost Financial Student Advisory Committee, and it was a good meeting. Lynn Johnson joined us, the outgoing CFO for CSU. Our 6 projects that we recommended for this year: number 1, developing the Vision Zero outdoor reporting tool to minimize traffic-related accidents on campus. The second one, reestablishing transportation services for CSU's disabled community. The third, constructing bus shelters, 3 to 4 covered bus shelters across campus to encourage public transportation and to minimize the impacts of snow and inclement weather. The fourth is hiring an ADA compliance specialist at CSU, as well as considering the programs of Blackboard Ally and Read Speaker as potential subscriptions. And that was a direct recommendation of Marla, role at the Assistive Technology Resource Center, at least for the second half of that recommendation. Establishing a university lounge for CSU's graduate students was our 5th. And then our last one was more broadly enhancing physical accessibility. So as a secondary follow-up to my Button Revitalization Act, the next one would be for more interior fixtures and involve classroom entrances and things of that nature. So if you all wanted to look at it, I brought a few extra that I'll leave up here on the front. On the second and third page, we outline the costs involved for each of those projects. Good news, Lynn Johnson in that meeting, it was kind of funny, in a matter of about 10 minutes, agreed to fund the purchase of the vehicle. So that's happening. She's putting forward $90,000 to $100,000 to fund the vehicle, which made us pivot. So now our bill is going towards the staffing of that program. And if passed tonight, it would start in the fall. And yeah, just grateful for her match and for your support on that project. You can also find this in my weekly email for the Pacific meeting. If you have any questions, let me know. A bill tonight that's coming to the floor for the Memorial March, where Honor Guard joins the student body president every time that a student passes. I don't know if you saw, but the flag is at half-staff right now. We lost another student. And the bill tonight would formalize that tradition of marching that flag that's at half-staff over to administration building and doing the formal presentation with the Honor Guard process and then giving that to the family, or it goes to the family with a letter written by the ASCSU president. The memorial would capture that as well. It would describe that tradition and the impact in our community and just the gravity of losing students. RMSMC, for those of you that know, Rocky Mountain Student Media, we are negotiating the contract. I will decide by Friday on the final contractual agreement, some changes to the contract, as well as the exact dollar amount for that contract. So if you have any interest in weighing in, let me know. Same with the contract to the lobbyist. I'll be deciding here in about a week. So if you have any strong opinions on that, I've heard from many of you all. So I'm pretty confident in my decision, but if you'd like to weigh in, let me know. And then finally, hoping to tour the CSU compost facility with the County Commissioner Shattuck McNally, Councilmember Gutowski, the Mayor of Estes Park, and the Mayor of Loveland over at the Foothills campus. So if you want to join, if you want to tune into that meeting, just let me know. And then on May 5th is the I-Ball, the inaugural ball. How many of you all are going? Have it in your schedules? Nice. Okay, that will be our opportunity to reflect on the year, to talk about projects, and to give out some awards and superlatives. So I hope you can join us. That's next Thursday at 6 p.m., May 5th in the LSC Ballroom. And then May 19th, we're doing another day at the Capitol down in Denver, welcoming in the incoming student body presidents and vice presidents from institutions across the state, as well as celebrating the outgoing. I'm hoping to meet with the governor this time and or the lieutenant governor, attorney general, or their designee. We're meeting with the Department of Higher Ed as well. Should be pretty lively, and hoping to meet in the old Supreme Court since the legislature is no longer in session. So if that happened, y'all definitely should come join. And then just finally mentioning what an honor it's been to serve in this capacity, to serve in this organization for the last 3 years. You know, I remember vividly, I was actually probably holding this microphone just about 2.5 years ago, walking across this floor and sharing the vision of love and respect and dignity and the things that I stand for and that I know this organization stands for. And that was when I was running for committee chair, serving as Speaker of the Senate alongside Kevin and many of you all, and then serving as president this year. A couple of people that I just wanted to shout out and share my gratitude for. First of all, Kevin, as a friend, as a prodigy on the piano. If any of you all have heard Kevin, he is incredible. We got to make that happen if you haven't heard him yet. As the gatekeeper to ASCSU's legislation, I remember him and I had probably 5 hours of conversation about that, about how the role of the parliamentarian is to describe the history of this organization, to describe the living history, the bills that you all are passing, the sentiment of the student body, to ensure that that's codified and that that's remembered. Kevin, you've been the best parliamentarian in history, no questions asked. So and if you want to hear some memories and nostalgia, ask him about Operation Outreach. Every Friday at 1 p.m. I still get announcements because it's in my calendar and I can't figure out how to take it away. So, started that freshman year. Mary, I don't know if Mary's here, but just gratitude to Mary as a dear friend and an inspiration. And just the compassion that she has for people is truly unrivaled. If you see her in a room talking with people, you would think that she's known them for her entire lifetime. She has that type of energy, approachability, and just love for people. Incredibly grateful. The presidential cabinet I've mentioned before, but 22 of the most talented, compassionate, and impactful leaders I've ever known. And you all as well. I mean, this organization has left a profound impact on me. Benton Rossler, who's not here tonight, but objectively our most productive cabinet member, I would say. For those of you that are laughing, you know, he passed, in his time, he's passed over $200,000 of legislation through this organization, most of which was this year, and just what an incredible advocate he is on campus and the partnerships that he drives. Ariadne, I want to say thank you to you, my friend. You've challenged me, you've humbled me, you've inspired me, you've taught me. And you forever changed the way that I view inclusion and closing equity gaps. You are so much of the inspiration for the work that I do, and I haven't really had a chance to communicate that. So just want to say thank you. And I'll never forget touring through Clark our freshman year, finding every single example of inaccessibility and thinking maybe this is emblematic of something in the institution at large. And we have a lot of work to do, and I hope you all will continue to carry that torch. Elijah, I want to say thank you, my friend. It's been such a pleasure going on this journey with you, learning about your experiences, working on the topic of first generation access, hidden curriculum. How do we define these norms and customs? And the first thing that you said to me when you met me was, I want to be in your seat. And I said, what was your name again? And you said, so proud of you, my friend. And clearly you have a bright future here in this organization. Noah, is Noah here tonight? Noah may not be here. I want to thank Noah for his faithfulness in honoring the students who have passed and his artistic ability to capture that vision, which will be showed in the bill tonight. Evan, I know you're here. Evan, you and I, when we got Subway sandwiches upstairs, your first day on campus or first week, and you said, I want to get involved with student government. And what an honor it's been to serve alongside you and to see where this has come. Mia, I met you in high school when you were in high school, and just so incredibly proud and grateful to have known you over this time and just the impact that you've had. And Mia, you were having an impact in our organization before you even joined, and I think that's a sign of just what a leader you are. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Kimberly, Mariana, Alex. I'll never forget swing dancing over at Sundance. That's being logged in the old memory book. That's right, next Wednesday. And Ollie as well. Ollie, I think I met you when I was in high school, and just what an inspiration you've been for me. And Jess, your support throughout this entire journey has been unparalleled, and just so grateful for you. I'll close by saying this: it's not a goodbye, because the legacies of advocacy that I inherited and the one that I hope to leave behind is not a legacy of passivity, but of resounding commitment. Because I believe that the hallmark of student government is to ensure that every student voice is heard in the governance of our community. And that's the challenge that you all will have moving forward. You know, we ventured into this new era for ASCSU. It's a permanent shift in the organization, and ultimately you all live and exist as a vessel for the student voices. And so I hope that you'll take that responsibility seriously, as I know you all do. And never underestimate the power of love and dignity and respect, and its ability to bring shared purpose, to unite 30,000 students who all bring different experiences, lived experience, and stories. And I hope you'll pursue those stories. And then finally, as I mentioned in the remarks on election night, we don't know those that will inherit this community 20 years from now, but they will know us and the hearts and voices that will fill these chambers 20 years from now. I hope that we will leave behind a legacy that's worth celebrating. Just want to thank you again, and incoming leadership, I wish you all the best, and I officially sign off for my last report. Thank you all.
Thank you, President Dixon. We'll now move into judicial reports. If there's a member from the judicial branch that would like to follow up Christian Dixon. Looks like Chief Justice Aaron Freeman would like to.
Yeah, I actually have nothing as intricate as that, but that was beautifully said, Christian, President Dixon. Yeah, pizza party for Exact Day 1 last night. No, this is really like I was not. Yeah, this has been a great year. Really proud to have worked with all of you. I'm very excited to see what y'all do next. I will be around in the fall semester, so if you need anything, my number I'll give it out if you would like it. It's really all I got. I don't have personalized stuff, but I do adore you all. Very thankful for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chief Justice Freeman. All right. Before we move into confidence business, I would like to yield to the Recruitment and Retention Officer to present the Senator and Associate Senator of the semester.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So thank you to everyone who voted on that poll last week. I'd like to congratulate both recipients of the award. They're always active, they're constantly active in the organization, and I'm glad to call them both friends. I'm going to keep this short since we have a long night ahead of us, but congratulations to Samantha May, who is Senator of the semester. And the greatest of all time, Mathis Quintana, who is the Associate Senator.
Congratulations to both our recipients. All right, we'll now move into the remaining business of the 51st Senate. We'll start with new business, beginning with Bill number 5131. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 5131, ensuring funding of Senate's Legislative Priorities Act of 2022. Because this was not sent out in the weekly email, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to read it out in full. Abstract, this bill aims to reallocate $13,562.50 from the ASCSU fund balance to the ASCSU Senate discretionary to ensure that Senate can fulfill all of its legislative priorities. Whereas the ASCSU Senate discretionary has $13,437.50 remaining, and whereas Bill 5124, funding for SDPS offices, which is requesting $14,000, will be approaching its second reading on April 27, 2022, not 2021. And whereas Bill 5129, funding accessibility, which is requesting $8,000, will be approaching its first reading to be expedited on April 27, 2022. And whereas if both pieces of legislation pass, the ASCSU Senate will exceed its spending potential by $13,562.50. So therefore be it hereby enacted that $13,562.50 shall be moved from the ASCSU fund balance to the ASCSU Senate discretionary to ensure that both pieces of legislation have a fair and equal opportunity to pass. And therefore be it hereby further enacted, any funds that are not earmarked by May 31st, 2022 will automatically roll over from ASCSU Senate discretionary to the ASCSU fund balance, and therefore be it hereby further enacted that a copy of this legislation be forwarded to Joyce McConnell, Colorado State University President, Jess Beardall, ASCSU Advisor, Emily Baylor, Director of Finance.
Thank you. We'll now enter question and answer if there is any, starting with the first raised placard.
I should have a placard on me, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
Senator Correa.
So yeah, the whereas clause states that the money would go back to the fund balance in the 31st, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
If they aren't earmarked by the end of this month, then it would go back to the fund balance.
Okay, sweet, thank you. That's all.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Parliamentarian Clark.
Mr. Speaker, I move to expedite this piece of legislation.
Is there a second? All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. This piece of legislation will be expedited. We'll now move into discussion and debate on the bill. Parliamentarian Clark.
Mr. Speaker, I motion to previous question.
There has been a motion for previous question. It has been seconded. All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. We'll now move into a voting period. This will be a standard placard vote. All for passing bill number 5131, please raise your placard. Thank you. And all against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 21 to 0 to 0, this bill passes. We will now move forward in our agenda. Next to Resolution 5109. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Resolution 5109, prioritizing sexual health. Abstract, this resolution seeks to show the support ASCSU has for prioritizing sexual health across campus through improving comprehensive safe sex education and increasing accessibility to the sexual health services provided to students.
Thank you. Is there an author present? Thank you. You may come present.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me on the mic? If you haven't met me already, my name is Alex Silverheart. I am a senator for the College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, and tonight I am presenting this bill regarding sexual health education. Because we have a lot to get through tonight, I'm going to keep it kind of short. But in summary, Colorado is one of the many states in the United States that does not require sexual health education. And with that, that means that a lot of students are coming to CSU without any sort of sexual health education from their school. They may get it from their parents or their friends or online sources, which can be great sometimes, but also provides for space for misinformation. So I think it would be a great opportunity to start increasing sexual health education here on campus, in addition to increasing accessibility to sexual health testing and other sexual health resources. One of the ways in which we can do this is increasing the marketing and increasing the frequency in which we do discounted testing. If you are unaware, the Get Yourself Tested campaign occurs every spring. It occurred for the past few weeks in the late weeks of March and the early weeks of April, and it's run through the Health Network with the support of Cruise. How many of you have heard of Cruise before? Fantastic. But even the fact that you all haven't, or some of you haven't even heard of Cruise, they're the most probably like visible group on campus that is promoting safe sex education. And they consist of, I think, less than 30 students. And Ariadne had informed me that we have about 24,000 students here on campus. So how can we expect less than 30 students to provide education to that many individuals? The answer is we can't. We can't expect that. The things that CSU does have in place currently, to my knowledge, is a module required for incoming freshmen and transfer students regarding sexual consent and sexual assault. And it seems a little weird that we have a module for that, but we don't have a module teaching children, not children, technically children, college students about safe sex, about comprehensive sexual education. I feel like that's something we really need. And so passing this resolution tonight is going to kind of state that we, as a large student organization, support the promotion of safe sex here on campus, promote the education and the resources put out by the Health Network. I plan on working with the Health Network over the summer. I've already had conversations with Christina Berg, who does a lot of the health education programs across campus, in addition to Gwen Seavings, who is the advisor for Cruise and also focuses on sexual health here on campus. And they said something like this would definitely help show student support in order for us to get more funding and more support from administration in efforts such as introducing a safe sex module and securing more funding for increased Get Yourself Tested campaigns. Thank you. Any questions? Can I open it up for questions?
Yes, starting with the first raised placard, we will now enter Q&A. Senator Waller.
How many students do you project will be interested in taking this course or will take this course?
So the way I have kind of thought of it as of right now is it would be a required course similar to, I think, the alcohol use and substance abuse courses, in addition to that sexual assault course. So it's required for all incoming students, including transfer students, I believe. And so it would cover everyone coming in. So that's expected by within the next 4 years or whenever we want to implement this program, all the students on campus would have this education under their belt.
So it would be a relatively short course.
Yeah, it would be relatively short. I don't know if you've taken the required modules, I would assume so. Some of them are quite long, but that process would take working with health officials and the health network in order to determine what information is necessary. And I would also push to make sure that information is diverse to cover people of all sexualities. I think that's extremely important, and that's something that's often overlooked. The fight for sexual health education does not stop with heterosexuality. We have to provide sexual education for all individuals.
Thank you. I yield my time.
Senator Keller Soto Perez.
Hi, Chair. Is there any program that you've looked into for these types of modules? Because I know that there's certain programs that can be run. Have you looked into any of them?
Not a ton, like the ones that CSU created was created by the university. So there's definitely sexual health information out there. Like there are some states that do require sexual health education, and more often, I can't say more often than not, it's comprehensive, but there's a difference between comprehensive sexual health education and abstinence only sexual health education. So there's definitely resources out there, but I would say a lot of schools don't require it, which is why a push from a large student body would help to kind of create that precedent. Yeah, that kind of answers your question.
Thank you.
Of course.
Are there any other questions from the author? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to expedite. Senator Deason.
Motion to expedite this bill.
Seconded.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. We'll now enter discussion and debate on this piece of legislation, starting with the first raised placard. Senator Trout.
Okay, I make two motions. One is to previous question, and the second is to unanimous consent. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. Is there any dissent? Seeing none, thank you. This resolution is passed unanimously. Thank you. We will now move on. We will move to bill number 5129. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 5129, funding accessibility, abstract. This bill seeks to allocate $8,000 to fund an automatic door opener at the men's restroom on the first floor of the pathology building in response to a request from a student to the Student Disability Center, as well as to aid in increasing accessibility campus-wide.
Is there an author present? Chair Beatty, you may now present.
Thanks, so this is the bill that I spoke about at last week. I was notified of this project by Justin just on Monday last week, that's why it has to be expedited this evening. Generally, the point of this is like it says in the abstract, student came to the Student Disability Center and said, hey, I can't get into the men's restroom. This is a really big problem. And SCC said, okay, let's get that fixed. And as soon as the quote came in from facilities, Justin said, hey, maybe the ASCSU can fund this. And I was under the impression there was money left in the fund. I was wrong, but I still think we can fund it. So that's generally that. The quote has about $6,000 that they are asking for. And I gave $8,000 so that if there's any weird extra things that are unforeseen, they have the money to pay for it. And then any money that is left over will be earmarked in the fund balance to be decided what to do with by the Committee for Disabled Student Accessibility, which is a newly reinstated committee as of this afternoon, and that is held within the SCC. I would like to make two changes to this. Well, I guess it's actually three. I want to add a couple names to the bottom, except I want to remove one of them that I wrote on there because Yuri doesn't work here anymore, and send the other one to Jesse Schultz. And then the other is to change that last therefore clause to make sure that it says that it's earmarked because we cannot transfer funds to that committee. We can just, they can just charge us or we can pay for it. That's all I had.
We'll now enter Q&A, starting with the first raised. Oh, that was the changes I asked. Perfect. Sarah Long.
Motion previous question.
Because the chair would actually entertain a motion to expedite first. There's a motion to expedite. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This piece of legislation will be expedited. We'll now enter discussion and debate, starting with the first raised flag. Senator Trout.
Same as before, I make a motion to previous question, and additionally, I make a motion for unanimous consent.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. Is there consent? Seeing none, bill number 5129 passes unanimously. We'll now move on to bill number 5130 with parliamentary please read title and abstract.
Bill 5130, remembering our lost Rams, ASCSU Honor Guard Memorial March and the Tree Memorial in loving memory. Abstract. This bill will formally establish the ASCSU Honor Guard Memorial March tradition founded by ASCSU President Christian Dixon as a way to recognize CSU students who have passed away. This bill will also allocate $15,000 for the development of the tree, a memorial to be placed west of the Laurie Student Center to honor and remember the CSU Rams who are no longer among us.
Thank you. Is there an author present? President Dixon, you may present that.
Thank you so much, y'all. You thought you could get rid of me? Yeah, Bill 5130, this is to formally recognize the honor guard tradition that we started this year. It's pretty sobering if you get a chance to experience it. The next one is Monday at 8 a.m. That student passed. Alexander Fritzler was his name. This would formally establish that tradition. This would hopefully give it a lifetime impact, and as well as the tradition that already is in place with the flag that flies at half staff for 3 days. And then that's delivered to the family with a letter from the ASCSU president. I wanted to make sure that that's codified. So that's one piece of the bill. And then if you could scroll down for me, Parliamentary Clerk. A little bit further. Keep going. And then this is the design here that I don't know if you all remember in the fall, I shared with you all about this tradition, and then I wanted to place a memorial west of the LSC right by the flagpole. And Noah Burge came to me the next day with 3 designs, and this was one of the designs, and it's the tree. And if I may, I'd like to motion for the paragraph immediately following to be read aloud. The significance behind this particular memorial, the vision for it. The one on the left is designed by Noah Burge. The one on the right was rendered by Ben Norby, and Silo Works is the fabricator that we will be working with for this design.
Awesome. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. Would the parliamentary please read that part out loud?
Whereas the vision/logistics of the design are as follows. The tree will have a cylindrical stainless steel centerpiece with copper bands wrapping around the exterior to reflect the bands of growth on the tree. It will have an acrylic plate at the top that holds the engraved words Aeternium Arites. I'm pretty bad at Latin. Thank you. I'm pretty bad at Latin. So Latin for eternally Rams. There will be light coming from within the hollow cylinder, shining upwards towards the heavens, and cutouts along the base of the memorial, allowing light to shine horizontally, demonstrating the interconnectedness, even in death, between the lost and those who pass by this memorial. The memorial will be surrounded by forget-me-not flowers, the turquoise blue flower that will unite the blue sky and the memorial below. The life of the tree has been cut short, although its foundation is a glorious testament to years of growth, transformation, and impact, stories that will be never forgotten. Viewers will not see the bottom of the hollow cylinder, but will only encounter the emanating light. This communicates the profound impact of loss. It cannot be easily defined or characterized, and neither can the gleaming stories of those who have passed away. On the front plate, it will describe the ASCSU flag tradition and memorial march. There will also be a dynamic QR code on the front plate. If the flag is flying at half staff due to the loss of a student, community members can locate the QR code to reach whatever webpage the Office of Student Affairs inputs. If the family wants to route our community to an obituary or fundraising page, that will be possible with this design.
Thank you all. And then just would welcome questions and hoping to, well, actually, since this is, if you could go to the top, this is a BSOF sponsored bill. So BSOF will be providing $2,000 and the remaining will be coming from Office of the President as well as the fund balance. So it's only requires one reading, but would welcome any questions.
Thank you. Starting with the first race placard, we will now enter Q&A. Senator Trout.
Would it be possible for the Latin phrase to be quoted and indenticized, just for people that can easily read that this is being quoted, just to make a quick change? Because I was like, oh, that's saying something important. I think we should emphasize that a little bit.
Absolutely. And you mean in the bill text?
Yes, in that whereas clause we just heard.
I accept that. So Parliamentary Clerk.
Awesome. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we will now enter discussion and debate on this piece of legislation, starting with the first race placard. The chair would entertain a motion to move to previous question. Senator Williamson.
I motion to move to previous question and motion to pass with unanimous consent.
Is there a second? All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. Is there any dissent?
I actually have a question for President Dixon. Before we do unanimous consent, do you want to have a roll call vote? Yeah, so I dissent to unanimous consent for roll call vote.
There is dissent. We'll now enter a voting period. This will be a roll call vote. Will the clerk please call the roll? When your name is called, please signify which way you're voting.
Chair Athey,
Yes.
Senator Bilodeau, Senator Brown, Senator Caracetto Perez,
Yes.
Senator Deason,
Aye.
Senator Epperson,
Yes.
Senator Long,
Yes.
Senator May,
Yes.
Chair Morgan,
Yes.
Chair Ritter,
Yes.
Senator Sandoval,
Yes.
Senator Shepherd,
Yes.
Senator Scherer,
Yes.
Chair Silverheart,
Yes.
Senator Chim. Aye. Officer Torsdoxy,
Aye.
Senator Trout.
Yeah.
Chair Welch.
Yes.
Yes.
Senator Waller,
Yes.
Senator Williamson,
Yes.
Senator Sanchez,
Aye.
Senator Nguyen,
Aye.
Senator Rencher.
Aye.
Senator Correa.
Aye.
Did I miss anyone else?
And with a vote of 22 to 0, this bill passes. And with that, that concludes new business. We will now move into old business, beginning with Lex number 5103. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Lex 5103, ensuring adherence to section 207 subsection E of the ASCSU Constitution and the amendment of the same. Abstract. This Lex aims to ensure that Senate bylaws are tabled and approved in a timely manner for the smooth functioning of the ASCSU Senate.
Thank you. We will now move into discussion and debate on this piece of legislation, starting with the first raised placard. Parliamentarian Clark.
Yeah, so really quickly, just wanted to reflect that University Affairs did see this piece of legislation, discharged it, made no changes. I would actually ask for a friendly amendment from the author to change the title to a subsection 5 V instead of subsection E.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Other than that, Mr. Speaker, I yield.
Thank you. My apologies. Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Senator Correa.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Lex was recently passed, adding section 205. So would I need to change this to section 208 instead of 207?
Mm,
I'm not really sure.
I'm not 100% sure, like, I'm not super knowledgeable about where it is or how that's reflected yet. I would yield to Charity.
I think if you are willing, you can just leave that up to the parliamentarian to make it coherent.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes. Are there any other points of discussion or debate? And as for that last one, yeah, it can be just reflected later. These were read at the same time. So are there any other points of discussion or debate? Parliamentarian clerk.
Yeah, just to answer your question really quickly, Senator Correa, although section 205 was amended, we already did have a section 205 on vacancy. And so it doesn't move any of the other sections, and so we're good to go.
Awesome. Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Seeing none, I would now entertain a motion to move into previous question.
Motion for previous question.
There has been a motion for previous question. Is there a second?
Second.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion passes. We'll now move into voting procedure. This will be a standard placard vote. Please raise your placard if all for. Lex number 5103. Thank you. All against? And all abstentions. Thank you. With a vote of 19 to 0 to 2, Lex number 5103 passes. We'll now move into bill number 5124. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 5124, funding for SDPS offices. Abstract, this bill aims to distribute $14,000 in funding to the 7 offices within the student diversity programs and services sector in order to fund events and office improvements for the purpose of continuing to serve the growing populations of the community members they serve at CSU.
Thank you. Will the parliamentarian please present the conference committee report?
Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. Let me see here. So it looks like University Affairs did endorse this piece of legislation as well as made some clerical changes. Budgetary Affairs, I believe, added, is that a sunset clause? There is a therefore clause right here that just says that if any SDPS office decides against the use of the provided $2,000, then those funds would be equally distributed among the other SDPS offices. Other than that, those were all the changes that I received. I would defer to any of the other chairs if they wanted to seek any other input.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask any chairs, do you all have any additional information to provide? Chair Welch.
This is really quick, but basically what Parliamentarian Clark said, we added, it's basically saying the money that we spent in abstract, so now it says the $14,000 abstract, that wasn't said before, now it's in the abstract, so it's more clear, and that's what changes we made.
Thank you. Any other chairs need to provide clarification? Seeing none, thank you. We will now enter discussion and debate on this piece of legislation as changed by the committee, starting with the first raised placard. Chair Silverheart.
I know this is a question I should probably know the answer to, but can we allocate funds without like specifically delegating where these funds are going to in terms of projects and such?
I'll yield to Advisor Dudall.
Yeah. I just asked, I should probably know this, but can we allocate funds to like an organization like this without them necessarily having a specific project or anything like that?
We will not be able to directly transfer funds to any department. We have to like physically pay an invoice.
But they can send in invoices. We don't need to specify what those invoices need to be in relation to.
You should. So like Rams Against Hunger is a good example where like in Rams Against Hunger's bill, we have it broad enough, but it says to go to pocket pantries, the permanent food pantries. And from there, they'll send us like invoices from food orders, shelving units, things like that. So,
okay. And I would like to yield to
Chair AP.
I believe that this bill stipulates, I tried to mix the words together, that it's for the purpose of recruitment and retention and some other word. So like, it has a purpose, but they can spend it on whatever it is. So like, it's not just, here you go, here's some money. It's here's some money for this like this purpose, but spend it however, whatever fits on that purpose. Just wanted to add some additional information. Sure.
Yes, and so I have not had a chance to read the bill in its full yet. It was read partially to me earlier, so I need to like see of what that says. I would also see, and I would yield back to the authors on this, of what offices they've connected with that already said that they need and would accept this money. Cause I get like, I'm sure of equity. I'm not sure if ALVS needs funding, for instance, because I'm friends with the director. And I think they have.
What information ALVS is in an SDPS office.
Oh, you weren't including ALVS?
They're not. Because they're not under the list of SDPS titles.
Oh.
We had that conversation when we wrote it.
They're funded by ASCSU.
Huh. Adult learner veterans. Services.
Thank you.
I yield.
Thank you. Senator Silver or Chair Silverheart, do you yield?
Yeah.
Senator Carlsado Perez.
So this is coming from El Centro and back perspective. El Centro serves 5 times, and this is just an example, 5 times the amount of students that back does. But all the SDPS offices get the same amount of funding. So from an El Centro perspective, we would be using this for, and it's stipulated in the bill as well, a variety of different projects that the money can be spread through. We have a program at the beginning of the semester that happens to fall under Latinx Heritage Month, where we get a bunch of school supplies. And for the last 3 years, it has been extremely successful, but at the same time, we run Latinx Heritage Month during that time. So it just gets very costly. So that's my office. And then forward back, I know Senator Brown isn't here and I don't wish to speak for her, but she had mentioned that her office might be interested in using it to acquire business attire for their students to use, because we all know that business attire does get very pricey. So those are the 2 offices that I have been in contact with.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion and debate? Senator Williamson.
I'm very happy that that therefore clause was added because it was something we were talking about. The only office that we've had no communication with regarding this between other senators is the WGAC, as they're going through a lot of transitions right now. So we're hoping that they can and will and want to utilize it, but I'm glad that that's now there to be repurposed. But between directors or senators or student staff of different offices, the WGAC, I believe, is the only one we haven't been able to have contact with regarding this and the opportunity and desire to have or use funding.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion and debate? Seeing none, we will now move to the secondary speakers list. Senator Carlsado Perez.
I just want to put something in perspective for all of you guys. I'm going to use it since I'm back as an example again. $2,000 spread over all of the students that identify as Black or African American would be $2 per student versus El Centro, where I was doing the math with my director. It's like less than 50 something cents. So these funds would be extremely beneficial, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Seeing none, and does the author approve of these changes? Yes. Seeing none, the chair would now entertain a motion to move to previous question. Senator Trout.
I make a motion for previous question.
There has been a motion for previous question. Is there a second? All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. We'll now move into a voting period. This will be a standard placard vote. Please, all for passing resolution or bill number 5124, please raise your placard. Thank you. All against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 21 to 0 to 1, bill number 5124 passes. We'll now move into bill number 5125. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 5125, approval of the 2022 to 2023 executive job descriptions. Abstract. This bill seeks to approve the 2022 to 2023 ASCSU executive job descriptions via a majority vote of the ASCSU Senate.
Thank you. Will the parliamentarian please present the conference committee report?
Absolutely. And I'm going to share a different screen because that's not the conference. Right here. Okay. So I have been in the process of combining all of the committee edits on the job descriptions. I will say that it has not been a fun time. And that is okay. A couple of the key changes, and I just basically pulled this from the minutes that each of the chairs gave me. University Affairs increased the hours for the business and community liaison from 7 to 15. The Deputy Director of Graphic Design is, I believe the title was changed or removed from the Director of Marketing part due to redundancy. University Affairs removed the Director of Zero Waste position and changed the Director of State to Secretary of State, just in title only. And then Budgetary Affairs removed the Director of Zero Waste as well. Asked if the $920 summer pay for the Director of Traditions and Programs reflected 5 hours of work during the summer or 10 hours of work, and then merged the food security responsibilities into the Director of Housing position, merging it basically into one position, the Director of Housing and Food Security. And then the rest of the changes that weren't marked by myself were Internal Affairs Committee changes. However, I don't believe that captures the full breadth of all of the work that y'all have done. And so I would honestly defer over to the committee chairs to see if there was anything that I missed.
If any committee chairs would like to present, Chair Aiden.
That's the last opportunity to come to the front of this chair. Okay, I just really want to talk about the accountability stuff that internal added, because that was a big chunk of what we added. As Rob, I should probably use your title, as President-elect Long mentioned last week in his presentation, the plan for when cabinet members aren't following their jobs, as stipulated by Cabinet Norris, is to implement a warning system. First time that someone doesn't follow their job description, as in doesn't hit the deadline of, say, the weekly reports, which are due Fridays at 6 o'clock. Yeah, that's the time that we decided. Then they will get a warning from the chief of staff for cabinet and from the vice president for when the chief, if it was the chief of staff messing up. That doesn't go into any kind of official record, but it does get written down just for sake of like, here, this is the step we are on with this person. If they fail to hit that again, then they will get an official warning, and that warning will be sent to advisors so that the advisors are aware of what is happening. If they still don't follow that a third time, then a meeting will be set up with an impartial body, with I don't remember if the president was involved, but at least the vice president, chief of staff, and advisors. And in that meeting, it will be discussed if the job descriptions were clear enough, if what that person is necessarily struggling with. This is all confidential to that person because they don't need to share their lives with everyone, but they need to make sure they're doing the job duties. So say if someone's parent died, then, you know, it's kind of understandable that you're not doing your job, but we just need to have a conversation of like, how can we make sure those job duties are still getting done, even if they're by someone else or whatever. So that meeting will be had, and if at the end of that meeting, it's seen that like this person's just really not doing their job, they don't really have any reason to not be doing their job, all of that, then it will be requested that they resign. So that is the measures that we put in, and it was a big deal, so I wanted to present it.
Thank you. Are there any other chairs that would like to present their changes? Seeing none, does the authors approve of these changes? Thank you. Oh, Chair Silver. You can go ahead and present. Yeah.
I wasn't presentation, but I think we clarified this, Elijah, but the 920 was for 5 or 10 hours. And this could be either a discussion between you two or between the entire cabinet, or not cabinet, Senate body. But to clarify, for some of the positions that had summer work, it specified $920 for 5 hours per week. But for other positions, it had $920 for 10 hours a week. So I was wondering, I'm assuming that discrepancy isn't supposed to be there.
It is not. Chair AP, do you remember what we spoke about? Because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember and I apologize.
I don't think that a decision was made. I think that it came down to they're making $920. Do we think that that is the equivalent of 10 hours of work or not, or 5 hours of work?
So
That's the conversation we had.
Okay, in that case, what I would like to do is open up to the Senate and hear y'all's opinion because we were not able to come to an agreement on that.
Okay, so we can open discussion and debate on this topic. Whether what's the correct number? What was the number?
$920 for 5 or 10 hours.
Yes, so we'll now open discussion, debate, $900, $920 on 5 hours of work or 10 hours of work. What is that necessary? Starting with the first raised placard, Senator Waller.
To clarify, is it $920 for the, okay, so it's for the summer? Okay, so it's 5 hours a week, every week, but overall it's $920 per se.
The question is whether $920 is going to be worth 10 hours of work or 5 hours of work.
A week for essentially 4 weeks.
Yes, for the summer, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Are there any other points of discussion, Senator Correa?
Yeah, it's like, how many weeks in the summer would an executive be working?
The start date is June 1st, where summer positions can start. Senator Long.
Point of information is about 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So for about 100 hours of work, they'd be getting paid 920, if I'm not wrong, right?
I believe so, yes.
Point of information, it is 16, not 10.
16, yes. Are there any other points of discussion? Senator Rencher.
I think if it's just 16 weeks and they're working 5 hours a week, that comes down to around $11.50 per hour. So it makes more sense to only require them to work 5 hours per week. 10 hours would be too much.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion, or is this the general consensus? Senator Scherer.
I calculated it out and the 5 hours a week one is only compensating them $5.75 an hour. Is that 10? That is the 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
$5.75.
Thank you. Senator Correa.
Yeah, so we are having certain positions that work 5 hours in the summer and certain positions that work 10 hours in the summer. So are we going to have 2 different days?
So no, there's certain positions that work in the summer and certain positions that don't work in the summer. Senator Sandoval.
My apologies. I just have to Advisor Deirdre, and it's about 11.5 weeks is what the pay would equal out to.
Thank you, Senator or Chair Silverheart. Are there any other points of discussion and debate? Senator Williamson.
Just to jump back to what I think Senator Correa was asking, it's whether it's 5 hours or 10 hours for everybody that's over the summer for these positions. Not some positions would be 5 hours and some positions would be 10 hours and they're getting the same. So it's whether it's either 5 or 10 for anybody working in the summer that would be getting the $920.
Senator Deason.
I think I'm trying to think of how to phrase this.
So I think 10 hours a week can be done, depending on your position and how much work you want to put into it. I think we've discovered that any executive position is really, you get out what you put in, but I think if we're going to be requiring a certain amount of time, it should be 5 hours per week, considering that that barely scrapes minimum wage in Colorado. So that's my piece. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Having reached a general consensus, is there any other points of discussion and debate? Chair Silver.
Not terribly important, but if we're going off of the 11.5 weeks, the pay comes out to $16 an hour, which is above minimum wage, but at the same for 5 hours a week, yes. But also consider, also consider that they are working over the summer. And so I feel like the increase in pay to $16 an hour is valid because they are working over the summer. And communication with different directors and things like that, if they're working on inter-branch projects, will be more difficult because it'll all be virtual. But yeah.
Speaker Pro Tem Baum.
Point of clarification, this will be still a salary position, not an hourly position. Is that correct? Cool. So with that calculations, if you do 11.5 weeks at 10 hours a week, that should come out at $8 per hour. If we're going by the hourly rate, just justify, and then it should be 16 for 5. So just to clarify.
Great. All right. Sarah Sandoval.
Not even sure I'm allowed to do this. So based on what I'm hearing, 5 hours a week for the summer positions is what we're thinking. So in that case, we'll change it officially to 5 hours a week.
That motion has been made. Is there a second?
Authorize.
Yep, authorize. Will the parliamentarian please make that change? Thank you. We will continue with discussion and debate within about the piece of legislation itself. Chair Athey.
So this isn't debate. This is a missing part that we discovered. I discovered it this afternoon. In that we passed the bike security bill earlier this month, and in that we added to the campus community job description, and that was not added. So I motion to add those to it. I don't remember what it says. Will you read it, parliamentarian clerk?
Sure thing. Yeah, so the changes are to add this bullet point under summer responsibilities to prepare the ULOC distribution program, working with the SDPS offices, the Spoke and CSUPD, creating 2 QR codes, one for registering a bike and one for when a student's bike is stolen, as well as preparing educational resources, trackable stickers. Fall and spring is pretty much the same thing. Implement the ULOC distribution program, working with the DPS offices to provide information and refill their supply of ULOCs, as well as working with the Spoke and CSUPD to provide information, create 2 QR codes, one for registering a bike and one for when a student's bike is stolen, as well as preparing educational resources and trackable stickers and analyzing the results of these interventions through the second semester.
Thank you. Chair, do you yield?
Yes.
Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Sarah Long.
One small thing to add, after consulting with Christian Dixon, one suggestion that he made to the job descriptions was possibly adding summer responsibilities to the business and community liaison. It'll mostly just be 2 responsibilities just added on. But one of them being attending weekly Chamber of Commerce meetings, and then the other one will be maintaining and building relationships with local businesses. And I'd like to open it up to Senate for what they think.
We can open time for discussion and debate on that. You do have author's rights if you would like to just add that, but we can open it for discussion.
Yeah, for now, just open up.
Okay.
Discussion.
We'll open time for discussion. Please keep comments short. We do want to move through our agenda. Chair Athey.
To be really short, I don't think that 2 items in a list is worth working over the summer, I don't think that it's worth $920. That's it.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion?
Point of information, it will be more than 2 items. I'd like to yield to Christian Dixon if he would like to mention the responsibilities for some community liaison.
Yeah, so I don't have that currently. If you mean for the actual job description language, don't have that currently. What I can speak to is just the value of the Chamber of Commerce and maintaining that relationship. And if we don't maintain that relationship over the summer, it'll make it very difficult to rebuild into the fall and to continue those opportunities. I had also mentioned to President-elect Long that while it could be the president's role to serve in that capacity, there's already so many things going on that will probably take the back burner, and that would then negatively impact our partnerships with all of those groups, potential employers. So what I'd be willing to do, I asked Karthik, the current liaison, to put together some summer language for you all to consider. If he doesn't have that yet, I could get that to you in 30 minutes if you would have interest in revisiting this. If there is interest in moving in that direction. I also don't want to rush it, and I think Karthik might already have something, but I can call him here in a moment. So I'll yield.
Thank you, Chair Silver.
I'd like to make 2 points. One of the points I made in Budgetary Affairs Committee earlier today, but this is a relatively new position. It was introduced this semester. And so I think, especially with new positions, we should be cautious for letting them grow too quickly. So I think that would be something good to keep in mind. But also, I would like to see maybe a raise of hands, if that's allowed by the speaker, to see what influence would having that list of job responsibilities have on y'all. So if you feel like it would influence your decision, please raise your hand. Does that make sense?
Before we do that, can I say my piece, what I was thinking?
Sure.
Sorry, I was just thinking, like, instead of adding it into the summer description, the summer job descriptions, put it in the vice president's job descriptions, because I'm not really doing much in the summer, except for rearranging the office. So that's all I wanted to say before y'all voted.
So with that in mind, it sounds like the relationship with the Chamber of Commerce seems to be the most important aspect. So I feel like if that's just a single job responsibility, or maybe a few, and if the vice president would be able to take that on, I feel like it connects the vice president more with the community as well, without having to have someone getting summer pay for something that may not deserve that caliber of summer pay.
Thank you. I'll yield to Advisor Deardahl real quick.
Just wanted to share, Elijah, thank you for offering this summer, but you'll be busier with a lot of things. I do want to say I'm really involved with the chamber, like outside of my role in this like official capacity. And I would agree with what Christian shared in terms of the importance of building those relationships and the consistency of that. And so having one person is a great idea, because the chamber is all about building relationships in the summer. Companies still are going in the summer, so that could potentially be a big loss right there. So just something to think about from like a business aspect in just my experience with the past 6 years with the chamber.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarah Williamson.
I agree. I think that it's something that a relationship building needs to happen there. But I'd be concerned about trying to add summer job description responsibilities to a new position this late. It feels like it might be rushed, and it wouldn't be as thought out as we'd all want it to be, and it wouldn't be able to go through the committee, through the fine tooth comb that we've got through everything. So I would advocate for adding it to an existing position, whether that's the vice president or not, so that we can have that relationship and build that relationship over the summer. I just don't think that adding an entire new summer job descriptions for an existing role that doesn't have those is our smartest plan right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll yield to President Dixon real quick.
I'll definitely respect whichever direction you go. I think there's some good points on both sides. I did want to mention, I neglected to send this. Karthik did send me a very detailed summer job description. Could I propose sending it to Parliamentarian Clark, you all reading it, if you think it would be valuable to move forward or not at that point? And now he has meditated on this and thought through it, and he's obviously serving in the role now. So if he'd be open to reading it on the floor and potentially adding it based on a vote of the body, I would support that. And I yield.
We can take a vote of the body on this one, all for having these read in full to Senate tonight. Please raise your placard. Thank you. And just for clarification, I should have said this before. This isn't to adopt these, it's just to have them read. We'll have a second vote to add them, or our authors will need to consent to add them. And all against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. At this time, just because I did ask make that clarification mid-vote, are there any vote changes? Seeing none, thank you. With a vote of 15 to 3 to 4, this motion is adopted. With a parliamentarian, upon receiving those job descriptions, please read those in full. At this time, I'm going to close discussion and debate on this, if that's okay.
Summer job-specific tasks and responsibilities for the business and community liaison. Contribute a minimum of 7 hours throughout the work week. Contribute as many extra hours as needed to fulfill job duties and meet student needs. Attend weekly cabinet meetings. Compile weekly reports and present them at cabinet meetings. Connect with the director of campus community on a weekly basis and join the weekly department meetings with the Department of Community. Connect with the ASCSU president on a bi-weekly basis to provide updates on projects. Adhere to the policies of CSU and ASCSU relating to diversity and inclusion. Conduct tasks as assigned by the Office of the President. Serve as the official ASCSU liaison to the Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Bureau, Community Foundation of Northern Colorado, Bohemian Foundation, Kiwanis and Rotary Clubs, Otterbox, Sava, and any other related stakeholders who could serve as strategic long-term partners to ASCSU. Make a concerted effort to build relationships with official CSU vendors and sponsors as a part of this role, for example, Canvas Credit Union, etc. Serve as the primary ASCSU liaison to the CSU Foundation. Look for opportunities to build meaningful partnerships. Identify opportunities to engage strategically with community events and help build teams that can represent ASCSU at these opportunities. For example, Tour de Corgi, Bohemian Nights Festival, Taste of Fort Collins, Fortitude 10K, etc. And serve as the primary liaison to volunteer opportunities offered to ASCSU. Meet with the CSU's Career Center and the College of Business's Career Center to discuss avenues on how to bring jobs and internship opportunities to CSU students. When applicable, inform the CSU student body of internship, volunteer, job, and partnership opportunities with the Fort Collins business and nonprofit community. Maintain an ongoing list of community volunteer opportunities and circulate throughout the ASCSU network. Work with the Director of Marketing to market these opportunities. Organize one ASCSU-wide volunteer opportunity each month in coordination with partnership with ASCSU's various stakeholders. When possible, organize opportunities that allow ASCSU to volunteer alongside other CSU departments, clubs, FSL chapters, or student organizations. Contact grocery stores and business stakeholders during cans around the Oval to build relationships, raise funds, and collect food donations on behalf of ASCSU. Create and publish a stakeholder map of the business and nonprofit community as it relates to ASCSU. Identify areas of shared interest, successful past partnerships, opportunities for future partnerships, and areas of strategic alignment. Attend and represent the CSU student body in civic events, such as the civic conversations hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. Carefully document work hours and accomplish projects/tasks using a time tracking system, which will be selected and enforced by the Office of the President.
Chair Athey.
I don't think that one person working on the job description is nearly the same as the workshopping capabilities of an entire committee or multiple committees, because this would go to multiple committees. I would not be opposed to the conversation being had at some point, but I think it needs more than one person. And that person, frankly, I believe that the job was written specifically for in the first place to create the most beneficial job descriptions for any position. I would vote to reject these changes because they need to be sent to more eyes and more voices. Thank you.
Senator Sandoval.
A few things. In listening to Parliamentarian Clark read the job descriptions, they are very, very, very similar to the fall and spring job descriptions because cabinet does not meet during summer. And that's all I want to say.
Senator Trout.
Adding on to that, this feels a lot like copy and paste of what the fall and spring job descriptions are, and I am really worried of us making whole new semester job descriptions based off of copying and pasting majority of fall and spring, because there's a reason we have a specific thing for summer. Summer job descriptions are going to be a little bit more different than fall and spring, and there is just not enough, to me anyway, as of right now, that would justify it. And kind of going off that theme, it feels last minute, and I would encourage the Senate to have, some self-reflection of let's not throw in last minute changes that haven't, again, been picked with a fine tooth comb with, the Senate body. That's all I have to say. I yield.
Chair Walsh.
So all I have to say is that the application already got sent out, so if anyone applied for this position, they probably assume that it's not gonna be a summer position. So when they go to interview, they might be told, hey, actually, we want you to work for the summer. They might have to say no, so they might not get this job. I understand the reason why this job exists, but I think maybe instead we just don't do this thing. We just have the president and vice president go to Chamber of Commerce over the summer instead, kind of create relations, and then during the school semester starts, just have the business liaison basically take their place and has have the vice president do it over the summer.
Senator Deason and then Senator May.
Given this new information about how a lot of this is redundant and how it may be more beneficial to add this on perhaps next summer when the position has been a little bit more or has a little bit more experience in it. I think that we as a body should put this relationship, as Senator Sandoval suggested, with the Chamber of Commerce onto the vice president's duties for the summer, and leave it at that. Thank you. I yield my time.
Senator May.
I just wanted to say that in the job descriptions for the president and vice president, it already says work with the business and community liaison and the president or vice president to strengthen existing ties between CSU, the Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce, and the broader Fort Collins business community by involving these stakeholders in projects and initiatives pertaining to the Fort Collins community. So it kind of already is in your job descriptions for the summer to do those things. So, I mean, I can see both sides, but it is technically already in there to do that.
Senator Rencher.
I think it could be worthwhile to add in the summer, since that is the time where students aren't overwhelmed with their classes or other things and opportunities they're working on. So by adding it for the summer, the student would have an opportunity to begin establishing those relationships. That way, by the time the year comes around, they have a better idea of what projects they want to do, where they want to take it. And that is much easier done over the summer, where that is their one priority and commitment to get started and to plan for the coming year.
Thank you. I think that our conversation has kind of exhausted its points. If everyone agrees, with the author's consent, I would like to open a vote on these changes and adding them or not. Do I have y'all's consent?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to add them into the summer jobs because, like it's been said, it's last minute. It's something that is already in our job descriptions, and as it has been said, the job handshake things have already gone out. So it's already, we're already under the impression that the business and community liaison does not work in the summer.
I agree.
Thank you. All right, with the author's veto, I'm not going to open a vote on these changes. Will the parliamentarian please remove those? Thank you. We will now do the authors accept all the other changes made. Thank you. We'll now enter discussion and debate on the job descriptions as they were changed by committee, starting with the first raised flag. Senator Deason.
Before I go into this, I have a quick point of information, which is a question. Are we in discussion and debate on passing this? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to make a quick point to the body about how all the committees have removed the position of zero waste team, or not zero waste team, director of zero waste. I think a lot of people were hesitant to accept this, because the job descriptions weren't very filled out relative to the director of sustainability and the directors of environmental affairs. But I do implore the body to not think of this as a director of zero waste, as in the zero waste team, but a director of reducing waste on campus. This is a point that I made in university affairs, but the climate crisis, I know all of you don't necessarily study it in the way that we in Warner do, but it's an extremely looming threat. And if we don't devote more resources to this now, there's not going to be a Colorado State University in 20 years. And so, to go back to Christian's speech from earlier, people are going to look back on us and what we did now in regard to the climate crisis in 20 years, and there won't be anyone here in 20 years if we don't start thinking about this now. Additionally, I understand people are hesitant to give this kind of clout, I suppose, to a student organization, but again, this is incredibly important. And so I will be workshopping this, and I will be hopefully coming back next year at some point with a bit more filled out of a role for Director of Zero Waste. The Director of Environmental Affairs is an extremely multifaceted role in which often it's extremely spread thin. And so, a director of reducing waste or zero waste here on campus is incredibly important. And so with that, please remember that this is important, and, keep it on your radars. And if you're willing to help me or anyone else get this kind of thing going, please let me know. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Athey. Senator Sandoval.
Going off what Hayden said, I honestly did not understand the climate crisis until she explained it to me. And I do want to let y'all know that I'm going to be working with the zero waste team. I'm going to be working with Senator Deason and making sure that this is, whether it's a job that we have in our cabinet or it's a project that we're working on with environmental affairs and the Deputy Director of Sustainability. But I do want to reassure everybody that this conversation is not over and it will continue. And I yield to Senator Deason.
Thank you. A secondary point I just wanted to make is that we as a university are looked up to by other universities in regard to sustainability. And the fact that we don't have that many people dedicated to this is honestly appalling. Sam Cummings, one of the people who came and presented last week about this position, he is the president of the Zero Waste team and is actually presenting to the Environmental Protection Agency tomorrow on behalf of Colorado State University with Ohio State and Stanford on sustainability on college campuses. We are looked up to as an institution, and the fact that this has been rejected is honestly disappointing. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Trout.
Hi, y'all. So I just wanted to talk about Director of Zero Waste. I like the idea of it, but how it was written, to me personally, it felt unpolished and it felt a lot like a lot of things were copy and pasted in last minute. And so I agree that we need to focus more on environmental affairs. I don't think there's a lot of people within the space who would disagree. We are seeing the effects. I mean, last fall, not this previous fall, but the one before that, the sky was literally orange because there was a massive fire that engulfed, a lot of northern Colorado. And, we're seeing a lot of the fires in Boulder. I don't think anyone is denying this bill, pushing down this position because we don't see the impacts of climate change. I think we all see that in our day-to-day lives, especially in Colorado. However, I would like to see if this position does get put in to have the ability to thrive in a capacity where it can be more independent instead of feeling like it's taking things from different director positions, if that makes sense. So I would love to see this job position come in later, but I think it needs a little bit more time in the oven. And I am really excited to see what the next administration brings in when they bring it in next year to the 52nd Senate. With that, I yield.
I just want to provide a quick point that, or a reminder, I guess, that this was taken out by all committees, also accepted by the authors. So if we could keep conversation roughly surrounded the changed piece of legislation, I would appreciate that. Any other points of discussion? Senator Cray.
Just like to bring it to the authors in the Senate. I've noticed certain discrepancies over here, especially with the chief of state and their pay. So I wanted to bring it out. And I see that the chief of state gets paid the same as the chief of staff over the fall and spring semesters, whereas the chief of staff works 5 hours more every week when compared to the chief of state. And it's in the job descriptions over here. Because it says that for the chief of staff, they work 20 hours over the fall and spring semester. And the chief of state, they work 15 hours over the fall and spring semester. So I have a little confusion if that could be addressed, please.
Senator Sandoval.
I would like to make it so that the chief of state, now secretary of state, I believe, works the same hours as the chief of staff, please.
The author has requested this amendment. Will the parliamentarian please make that change? And going forward, I would just discourage amendments during discussion and debate. We are not going to go into discussion and debate on this legislation as amended. I would discourage any further amendments. We're discussing, debating this piece of legislation in front of us right now. Please keep conversation germane to that legislation. Are there any other points? Seeing none, we'll now move into voting period. This will be a standard placard vote. Please raise your placard. Sorry. All in favor of bill number 5125, please raise your placard. Thank you. And all against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 15 to 0 to 6, this bill passes. We'll now move on to bill number 5126. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 5126, changes to the elections manager job descriptions. Abstract, changes to the elections manager job description and subsequent responsibilities.
Thank you. Will the parliamentarian please present the conference committee report?
Absolutely. So this bill was seen by all 3 committees. It is my assumption that University Affairs and Budgetary Affairs made no changes to this bill, unless I would defer to Chair Silverhart actually for that, and as well as Chair Athey, who also made changes to the bill as well.
Any chairs that would like to present, please, you may present.
Okay, so we worked on this really hard with Chief Justice Freeman. Basically, we took what already existed and we just made it match formatting of all of our other job descriptions. However, we split it into fall, spring, and post-elections period because as it has been, I've had lots of questions of, well, what are they doing once the elections are over? And so it's specifically said they're going to work on changing the elections code to solve any problems that they experience that are better for the next year. We also added one section at the bottom of here are some potential projects for you to work on. We can't specifically say you need to implement ranked choice voting, but we said maybe have the conversation. It's like there's suggestions. I'm almost over. That's basically, I don't think we added any actual things to do. I believe we just edited the formatting. Did you? Yeah, okay. And then I actually have one question that I discovered. So just to preface, my committee lets me edit the just formatting at the end because it makes our committee faster. And so as I was putting the formatting together, I discovered that we did not have a requested amount of hours. I think it was for post-elections period. Yeah, and so I want to defer to Chief Justice Freeman on hours on that because I think that it needs to be added, and then I motion to add that.
Chief Justice Freeman.
Do you want to just do like the same as the fall or spring semester? Either or.
So I think fall is
15.
Fall is 15.
Spring is also 15.
Okay, so they're both 15. I thought that one was 20.
It's 20 during elections. So
During
post
elections.
elections can go back to.
There we go. Okay, yeah, so 15. So I motion to change that to 15. That's all that I had.
Thank you. Are there any other chairs that need to present changes? Just alert.
Point of clarification, it's the same as director. Oh,
Point of clarification, it's the same as director pay, correct?
Oh yeah, that's a change that I made also. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other chairs? Going once. Thank you. Do the authors accept or reject these changes? Thank you. We will now open discussion and debate on this piece of legislation as changed by committee, starting with the first raised placard. Senator Sandoval.
I can't see it here because the font is so small, or the thing is so small, but is it the new director pay or the former director pay?
Internal Affairs wanted it to just be whatever is decided this evening as is director pay. It's the same, whatever it will be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Seeing none, I will now close discussion and debate. We will now move into a voting period. This will be a standard placard vote. All for passing bill number 5126, please raise your placards. Thank you. All against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 17 to 0 to 4, this bill passes. We'll now move into bill number 5127. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 51. Can I motion for a 5-minute recess before we get into this very lengthy document?
Seconded.
Sorry, there has been a motion. It has been seconded. All for 5-minute recess. All against. This motion passes. Please be back in here at 8:20. Yeah.
A little longer. Oh, this is what my kids are. You get a 5-minute break anyway. Sorry. Second to last.
Jay, what's up?
5127 after the break.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I would try. Yeah. I know. I'll stay asleep in this.
Charlie.
Yeah.
I gotta go give my boyfriend a ton of it, but I want to talk about your thoughts on a call jack.
Sure.
At some point.
Yeah.
Okay. I might text you when I get back.
Yeah, for sure. I've got, I can give a few. Yeah. Oh my gosh, no worries. Okay. I just all of my taxes. Have somebody on it. Yeah, on Wednesday night. Yep, got my steps in. There's time. Yeah. How did all your? Yeah.
Okay.
You're close. Again, do you need?
You're great.
Nice. It's so great to get to know you. And again, I'm 19 next to us. I start to wish you were talking about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't a graduate. You got minutes.
There's so many reserves out
He broke his heart. Oh, yeah. Bro, I was laying in bed, I'm like,
Yeah.
and it was like the next day too. That's why the ceremony, I don't know, it's just like, like it just felt good all the time. I was walking straight on and I was like, what the heck? I can't believe you missed it. I thought you saw it. Right, we got trained and heard that, and I was like, and I saw you like grabbing the wall. March was pretty good.
Also, Ben,
No, I don't think I got done before 5.
you know how many reserves
Actually do that.
it's already really cooked. Nothing's cooked. It's not. You were, the meat you eat and the meat you eat in the boundary is way worse. So if you eat in the boundary, you should not be fine. People get sick all the time. If you eat food at the boundary, that's meat, you're able to eat that.
This was today in the
You know, I do not eat chicken at the boundary. I only would do meat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask you something. I was like, she didn't go. I might kill you.
It was not as hot as 90.
No, they just have to sit.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, pretty much. Jackson, have a senior speech for us? Of course. That's what I'm writing right now. Oh, okay, nice. You know.
Yeah.
For what?
Especially in a foreign environment.
Oh, is Christian here?
You mean T2000?
He is, yes. Will senators please make their way back to their chairs? We will now begin. Senators, please make their way back to their chairs. We will now be in order. We'll now move into bill number 5127. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Bill 5127. Support for staffing the one-year pilot transportation program for CSU's disabled community. Abstract. This bill will invest $42,000 towards the staffing of the one-year pilot transportation program that will serve the needs of CSU's disabled community, namely those with mobility challenges. This bill will earmark $42,000 in ASCSU funding contingent upon an equal match from the Student Disability Center. The collective funding will ensure that the one-year pilot transportation program has full staffing, which will be integral in relaunching this critical program within our community.
Thank you. Is there an author present?
It is, yeah. I would actually defer over to Chair Athey and Chair Silverheart for any changes. I also am aware too that the author, President Dixon, also made some substantial changes to this document as well.
My apologies. Will you present those changes?
I don't think this came to us round.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Chair Welch, yes. Chair Welch and Chair Silverheart and President Dixon, if y'all wanted to present any changes.
Let me find the document.
Just real quick, budgetary didn't have any changes, and there is a sunset clause present. Yeah.
What was it again?
5127.
Information, didn't budgetary technically approve the changes that President Dixon's making? Like, didn't we add it technically?
Yield to President Dixon.
Hey, y'all, just for transparency sake, I want to quickly explain the changes. So we met with Lynn Johnson and the Pacific Group last night, and she said that she can only use her one-time funding for purchase of a vehicle, but cannot fund staffing. So our request to the Vice President for University Operations, she also serves as the CFO, was help us to fund the program staffing. And she said she can't do that, so she's going to pay for the vehicle, 95 to 100,000. We're pivoting so that we will be covering the staffing, and the dollar amount has changed as well. So it's now 42,000 that ASCSU will contribute. SDC has agreed to match that 42,000 as well. And the Parking and Transportation Department will operate this program. The staffing will include two positions, one at $24 an hour plus 54% fringe benefits, and that's for the driver. And then $34 an hour plus 28% fringe benefits, and that's for a full-time equivalent position that's coordinating. What I had to clarify, and I'm not certain of now, is whether that would be added onto an existing FTE that Parking and Transportation has or an entirely new one. My guess is that it's the former, but nonetheless, it would be a role that is coordinating this program. So we just made that clear throughout the bill, and then also mentioned at the end, our criteria still applies for the purchase of the vehicle. We want it to be someone local that can hopefully be serviced in Northern Colorado, as opposed to Grand Junction or some other place around the country. And I think that's all the changes that we proposed, and budgetary affairs did approve those today.
Awesome. Thank you. And do you accept these changes? Yes. We will now move into discussion and debate on this piece of legislation as changed, starting with the first raised platform. Chair Silverheart.
I think this is an absolutely fantastic bill. Our Chair Athey had told me in BA today that this was a program that was happening before COVID. So I would think this would be a great thing for accessibility and get it back up and running. So with that, I motion to previous question.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. We'll now move into voting procedure. This will be a standard placard vote. All for the passage of bill number 5127. Thank you. All against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 21 to 0, this bill passes. And now our final piece of legislation tonight, bill number 5128. Will the parliamentarian please read the title and abstract?
Point of personal privilege, I think we just all need to let out a unanimous grunt as we get through this bill.
Bill 5128, approval of the 2022 to 2023 ASCSU budget. Abstract, bill to approve 2022 to 2023 ASCSU budget. All right, so this budget went through all three committees. University Affairs discharged it without any changes. However, they did just wanted to note, that they would refer to budgetary affairs changes and then recommend Senate to vote on the pay increase with the following numbers in mind: 10%, 12.5%, and 15%. Internal affairs has edits, so does budgetary. Or at least that's what I received, and so.
I defer to you to present those because I do not remember what changes the internal made.
I can present mine. I'll yield over to Chair Silverheart for that presentation.
Yeah, so we didn't make a ton of changes, but we had a relatively lengthy discussion regarding the pay for Chief Justice and Speaker of the Senate. That they would be paid same as the Vice President, not the President. The discussion revolved around the fact that we want the branches to be equal, but pay doesn't necessarily equal equity. Because the president tends to do so much more work, even though they're assigned the same amount of hours, because we're exempt employees, or because executive branch is exempt employees, they do the number of hours that they need to get all of their jobs done. It's not necessarily that 20-hour limit, that is a minimum. And so seeing how much President Dixon did this year, it doesn't seem plausible to pay the Chief Justice and the Speaker of the Senate the same amount as the president because of just the caliber of work that the president is doing. So we made that change. We also made another change that affects us, which is kind of exciting. Yeah, so in the Senate leadership section of the budget, we added a line item for $2,000 for recruitment and retention events for Senate. This would be primarily under the recruitment and retention officer, but the whole legislative cabinet could use this money in order to host events, specifically not for food. That $3,000 can be used for food within our discretionary, but this $2,000 is more so for events that would promote getting members for ASCSU and getting kind of the word out about what we do. I don't know if we made any other edits though.
For your information, yeah, we changed campus engagement title to campus community title.
We did, yes. So we updated that.
Thank you. Parliamentarian Clark, do you have anything else to present?
Also, real quick point of information, I think we added more to the vice president discretionary, or at least we were talking about it. I don't remember if that was actually done.
We had discussed it, but we never decided on it.
Senator Shepherd.
I'll just let you know what I have in the minutes from that committee in terms of like other changes that we did. We also decided that we needed to add per the Rams de-stress legislation, we needed to add a $16,000 line item, and that's going to be housed under the campus engagement budget. We also added $363.94 back to the office supplies discretionary line item. And I think that's everything, including what Chair Silverheart has already said.
Thank you. Do the authors accept or reject these changes?
I reject them.
I accept them.
So then we vote.
All right, we'll open these changes to a vote. Yeah, we can hold discussion and debate on these changes. I'll open time for discussion and debate.
Could I just say something really quick as to justification?
We're gonna open time for discussion and debate. You can make a point.
Point of information, can we clarify on if President-elect Long is disagreeing with all of the changes or some of the changes? Just so we can only discuss the ones that are disagreed on.
The only thing I disagree with is the inequity between the branches. I feel that it would only cause branch conflict in the future, and I would refrain from doing that change. All the other changes I'm okay with.
Chair Athey.
Okay. Chair Silverheart mostly said what I wanted to say in response to the difference in pay, but can we take a look at what President Dixon is doing compared to what the other two branch leaders are doing? I don't think working less than him says anything negative about the other two, but President Dixon works something like 40 hours a week, and that man is so busy. He never has any time for anything. He's always been notoriously bad at responding to texts. But through his presidency, it isn't rare to expect a response at least a week after you send it. He's very busy. It's not saying anything against him, but he's very busy. I just don't think that with the job duties that the president has compared to the job duties that the other two have, it makes sense for, that sentence is wrong. I just don't think that it makes sense for them to be earning equal. I think the president makes far more. I also think that putting the branch leaders at different pay amounts doesn't create any difference of power between the branches, because like the amount you get paid, like it's not like you get to put your paycheck into ASCSU, and it's like the amount of money you make changes how much power you have. You still have the same amount of power, but it kind of needs to be how much work are you doing with a minimum of 20 hours, but it's gonna be more for the president because they work so much. Thanks, I yield.
Director Ball.
All right, so a few things about this. I think in terms of job responsibilities, if you're concerned about inequity between the job responsibilities, more responsibilities can always be added. So if you're concerned about the president doing more work, there's always the potential for this Speaker of the Senate, Chief Justice to do more. What people do with their time, how they spend it, is up to them. I think how the branches are structured, though, it's supposed to have equal power between branches. And I think when you institute a pay inequity between the leaders of these branches, it sends a really powerful message about how our student government is structured. I think, I'm an executive, so, I realize the power that exec has with our budget alone, with the powers that we have. As a senator, like if you're a senator, I would be really concerned about the message that this sends. It's not just about job responsibilities and time spent. It's really about preserving equal power between branches. So that's the point I would make on that.
Thank you. Senator Waller.
One thing I'd like to bring up is I believe the speaker used to be the vice president, and the vice president has historically never made as much as the president.
Correct.
In which case, I guess what I'm trying to say is, why was no one concerned about our image then when the speaker was not making as much as the president? Why was no one bringing that up then? No one brought it up then because no one viewed it as an issue. And I don't know, I guess what I'm saying is I haven't seen this being an issue with students either, right? It's really all I've got, honestly. I yield.
Senator Shrout.
So I would just like to kind of reference what was previously said. For example, with President Dixon, he's working a lot more hours and doing a lot more things, arguably, than he did as speaker. That's not to say he did, he was lackluster as speaker, but that's just saying he did more, he's doing more now than he did originally. Additionally, we're talking about pay inequalities. To my understanding, Chief Justice can correct me on this, they are not making the same right now as that, and that has never been talked about within this conversation. It's always between the president and the speaker. Chief Justice, I would like to yield to you to clarify that, and if you had a statement on the matter.
So is it okay if I say, I have a really bad ankle, so squatting is not great for me, sorry. So I'm clarifying that we don't all make the same, that president, speaker make the same, vice president makes about 9,000, I make about 8,800. 8,800, that sounds more uniform there.
Correct. In addition, I had another point, but it's escaped my mind.
Point of information, technically the speaker also makes $100 less than the president. It's over the summer, but it's still, in total, it's $100 less than the president.
Isn't it 10,000 across the board?
I think so.
For fall, spring, the summer, they make $100 less.
So
Thank you.
$100 difference. So the question is decreasing, but sorry, I was a little distracted.
No, you are all good. So the question is as of right now with the current budget and historically, the Chief Justice has made less than the president and vice president, regardless of them leading judicial branch.
Yeah, that one's true. The judicial branch has always made a significantly amount less, and I reason it in my mind is we aren't elected. I don't meet with Joyce McConnell. I don't meet with Blanche Hughes. I don't do as honestly, Jackson, you meet with a lot more people than I do. I run a branch of 7 versus Jackson. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Speaker of the Senate Hunter works. How many are here? 40. Cabinet runs 22 departments. That's how I've justified it up until this point. I'm a big proponent of get paid for what you work. So if that's the statement I have, get paid for what you work. I guess that maybe will lead to a bigger conversation on maybe merit-based job descriptions, but we're not there yet. So until that point, I'm gonna stick with my statement of we've always made less. We don't do as much as other jobs and get paid for what you work for.
Does that answer your question?
That answers it beautifully. Thank you, Chief Justice. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Correa.
Personally, I think that the president has much more to do when compared to the Speaker of the Senate and the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice also made that clear right now, which is why I think that they should not be given the same pay. I think the pay at par with the Vice President sounds perfect. Also, when it comes to paying each of these 3 heads of branches same, if we wanted to pay them same, we could just decrease it to the current salary of the Chief Justice. That's also at par. Should we do that? I personally don't think so. I'm just making this point because I don't see any reasoning between paying them the same. And which is why I say that I think currently where it stands at par with the Vice President sounds perfect to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Sandoval.
So in regards to the job descriptions, if you look at every single job description, the Speaker of the Senate, the Vice President, the President, and the Chief Justice, and let's say Chief of Staff, we'll throw Chief of Staff in there. All 4 of those positions do not do the same amount of work. Yes, they may work the same amount of hours, but the work and their job duties are entirely different. In fact, I think the president works the most out of all of those. With adding duties to those job descriptions, I can't. I am in charge, we are in charge of the executive branch job descriptions. Speaker is in charge of the legislative branches, and Chief Justice is in charge of the judicial branch. I have tried reaching out to the Speaker-elect, setting up meetings saying, hey, let's work on these. I haven't heard anything back. So, and then also with the Chief Justice, I understand everybody is busy. But it's not just as simple as adding more to the job descriptions. It's making sure that those job descriptions are equal.
I just want to say, we're not talking about any individual person here. We're talking about job descriptions. So let's keep conversation there, please.
Then ignore everything I just said.
Thank you.
Point of information.
Yes.
Yes, the current version of the budget that I have right now reflects that all branch leaders are paid the same amount. Is that reflective of what budgetary affairs made in their committee?
No. that's
No?
not. No, you're looking at the one that I sent out.
Sorry about that. You're using the one that I sent out on Sunday night.
Point of information, we didn't use track changes, it was just comments, and so there was a comment on the other two branch leaders, just to be equal to vice president.
Thank you. Chair Welch.
So first off, what Chair Hunter said, like, I understand we all want to talk about President Christian, but we were talking about the office of the president. Christian did do a lot of work, but not expected that every single president does what they do. Secondly, during the campaign process, the vice president and the president, when they ran, they got $1,270. When the speaker ran, they had to use the same amount of money. So to the public, it looked like it was the same amount. And secondly, the speaker of the Senate is a candidate they run. And so like, first off, I don't know if the judicial paid as much as the speaker and the president. I kind of agree with what Chief Justice Aaron said, but I do think speaker and the president pay the same because they both run a campaign. They're the only people that are actually elected by the student body. So because they are actually our faces, unlike every single other position, I think they should be paid the same because they're both our faces. And we have two very important branches. And I think we need to show that both branches are important, both branches do things. And also the speaker has a much smaller group of people to work with, like leadership, whereas the president has a vice president, they have the chief of staff, they have the secretary of state now. It's like they do have a lot more people around them compared to speaker. I think that's why it might be good to have it the same, but also understand the reason of the speaker was the vice president before. Maybe so the same as vice president. So I see where the arguments are coming from. I understand both of them. That's why I'm stating. But I do think it's still important that like they're both the faces, and we shouldn't be comparing what the president does to the former president. We should be comparing it to the job descriptions and the office of the president instead. To give my time.
Thank you. Chair Silverheart.
To echo what Chair Evan and Director of Finance Baller said, yeah, we cannot base it off of what Christian's done. President Dixon, we're probably not going to get another President Dixon. That's very sad. But still, from my perspective, I feel like the president does so much more where it would make sense. They act as practically the face for ASCSU. And this is kind of a comment on ASCSU in general, but I don't think we should be running our organization exactly like the federal government. But also the federal government, I was told the president gets paid more than the Supreme Court justices and things like that. Because they are the face and they have a lot of not only job descriptions and things that they're supposed to uphold, but a lot of expectation. Whenever I talk to friends about what they know about ASCSU, they're like, I don't know much, but like I know that President Dixon kind of leads it. Like that's one of like the main factors that they say. And so I don't know, maybe making the pay equal will redistribute how people view ASCSU. I highly doubt it. So that's my 2 cents. Can I motion to move on?
You can.
Motion to the previous question.
Is there a second? All for?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
I'm gonna call division. I would entertain a decorum. I would entertain a motion to exhaust the speakers list. If you would be willing to amend your motion, Chair Silverheart.
Yeah, does that mean no more talking?
It means we'll finish the speakers that we have on the list currently.
Yes.
I motion to exhaust the speakers list.
Is there a second? All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion passes. Senator Long.
Yeah, so just a couple of things, and I said this before. You know, if we set this precedence of the president making more than all the other branch heads. I think it sets a dangerous precedent for the future. And, you know, I think like most, if not all the people in this space understand that all three of the branches are equal. However, and I continue this trend of like thinking down the road, you know, 10 years from now, when none of us are here. And, you know, what would it look like if, you know, the speaker then says, oh, well, the executive branch thinks that they're so high and mighty because their president makes more than the speaker. Not that I'm Nick, I don't think that's him. I'm just saying, like, you know, 10 years down the road, if that happened. And a justification for the Chief Justice, and I was thinking about possibly having their hand more in the Constitution Caucus, because the judicial branches are the guardian. The judicial branch is the guardian of the Constitution, and I believe that they should have a bigger hand in writing the Constitution. And I know that the Constitution was not ratified, so that's a project that's going to be a work in progress over the next year. So, but yeah, I just felt that they could have increased responsibilities in the Constitution Caucus, and I will yield to you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. This is now on our secondary speakers list. Senator Correa.
There was a point made that the president and the speaker are the only ones elected, but we all know that even senators are technically elected. So that's one thing I wanted to make clear.
Like full student body. They're only elected.
But they're still elected. Okay, but I will agree with that point. So the president acts as the head of ASCSU, and we all know that. The speaker acts as the head of their respective branches. The chief justice acts as the head of their respective branches and not the entire ASCSU. Secondly, if you go to see with the jobs that we do, the speaker doesn't assent to, let's say, events done by the executive cabinet, but the president assents to bills and legislation that we pass. That only goes to say about what position that the president has and what position the speaker and chief justice has. They are not the same, and they shouldn't be paid the same. Thank you. I yield.
Chair Athey.
To amend what Vice President-elect Sandoval said, we don't have access to those job descriptions. It doesn't matter what job descriptions anyone received. It matters right now that we don't get to edit the chief justice and the speaker job description. We have to run based on what we have right now, and we might be told that those are getting changed, sure, but we can't control or guarantee what changes will be made. The president, even if we aren't basing it on President Nixon, we can still look at the job duties as is and see that the president has so much work and the others have less and frankly more manageable work. Also, I'd like to add that the judicial branch is not in charge of the caucus. I think that parliamentarian clerk is hoping to get as much input as possible, but the Senate can't say that they need to have a bigger hand in that caucus. If for nothing else, then that bill is already written and they were not given a bigger hand. I yield.
Thank you. With that, we are coming out of discussion and debate. We will now enter a vote to adopt these changes or not. All for adopting changes made by Budgetary Affairs Committee, please raise your placard. Sorry. The changes made by Budgetary Affairs Committee, Parliamentarian Clark, could I yield to you?
I'm going to yield to Chair Silverheart. So the changes that we want to make is making the Speaker of the Senate pay and the Chief Justice pay equal to the Vice President pay, which is less than the President's pay.
I'd like to make a call for quorum.
There has been a call for quorum. Will the clerk, let's see, will the clerk please call the roll?
Chair Athey. Here. Senator Brown. Oh, sorry. Senator Caracero Perez. Here. Senator Deason. Here. Senator Epperson. Here. Senator Kramer. Senator Long.
Present.
Senator May. Here. Senator Nivert. Sorry. Yeah, Chair Morgan. Present. Chair Ritter. Present. Senator Sandoval. Here. Senator Shepherd.
Present.
Senator Scheer. Here. Chair Silverheart.
Present.
Senator Chim. Here. Officer Torres Doxy.
Present.
Senator Trout.
Present.
Chair Welch.
Present.
Senator Waller.
Present.
Senator Williamson.
Still here.
Senator Sanchez. Here. Senator Nguyen.
Here.
Senator Rencher. Here. Associate Senator Dorak. Associate Senator Quintana.
Here.
Associate Senator Abdunabi. Here. Oh, anyone else? Oh, sorry, Senator Correa. Is here. Oh, I keep skipping you, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We do have quorum.
And can I ask for a point of information, what is gonna be the pay for those 4 positions we're talking about? 2.
Yes.
So
Chair Silverheart.
Okay.
So director pay,
It's vice president's pay that budgetary decided on.
yeah, oh, yes, you're right. As of right now, vice president pay for the summer is all the same across president, vice president, yada, yada, yada. But for fall and spring, it would be $9,919.80. The president, as of right now, will be paid $11,022. Senator Trout just let me know that the pay difference between the president and the vice president is $1,102.
I don't think so. No, we're gonna do this tomorrow. They're gonna do that.
Yes, so $1,102 less than the president.
Yep. All right. So are we all clear on this? All clear? All right.
Are we just voting on that change and not any of the other ones?
It's just to adopt these changes into the piece of legislation.
Just the one about this pay specifically and not the other?
It's to,
I would like to amend it to match what Senator May is saying, so because both authors accepted all the changes except for this one, I'd like to amend that we just vote on this one.
yes.
Okay,
Is that
thank you.
fine?
Yes.
All right. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is amended. All right, we'll now enter a voting period. It's just on the changes that we just talked about. Is everyone clear? All right.
We're voting on the budgetary affair change.
Yes, yes, we are voting on the budgetary affair changes. All for passing these changes, please raise your placard. Thank you. And all against. Thank you. And all abstentions. Thank you. With a vote of 14 to 7 to 1, these changes are adopted. We will now enter discussion and debate on this piece of legislation as changed by committee, starting with the first raised placard. Chair Ethy.
Yes, I have 2 points. First, no, actually, I have a question for the speaker first. University Affairs requested that we put it to a vote for 10, 12.5, or 15. Do we still need to vote on that?
10
For payroll.
for payroll. Chair Welch, do you want to clarify a little more on that?
So basically, during this week, President Long sent out an email saying that instead of doing a 15%, they're going for payroll increase, they were going to do 10% instead. So basically, and that those numbers are different by like $400, I'm pretty sure. So like basically voting on like, should we do a 10% increase for payroll or for a 15% increase on payroll?
Okay. And would you still like to hold that as a vote?
Yes.
Great. All right. So the way we'll do this is we'll go down each of them. It's 10, 15, and
12.5.
10, 15, 12.5. We're going to vote on each of these. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to do this necessarily. Chair Ethy, do you have a suggestion?
I have 2 points. One, I believe that you should open discussion and debate on this because this is a big thing. Second, I think that for voting, you should just have everyone vote for one, and it might be easier to make this be a written vote just for calculation's sake.
Yeah, we'll open discussion and debate. Hold on, I need to put this in.
I like that idea.
Or we can just raise.
Point of order, we'll use a microphone, please.
Yeah, we could just raise placards, but I want to make sure that everyone does vote. That's the only reason I said paper.
Okay,
So
well,
that, like, everyone votes and only votes once.
yeah, but we can still count up to.
Yes,
And then we can also still have abstentions, so I feel like.
I think
Okay.
that's a better use of our time. I
Yeah.
agree. We're going to use a placard vote to vote on these percentage increases. All right, so we're gonna start with 10%
Discussion.
discussion
I
debate.
would motion to open discussion and debate if you need me to do that.
There's been a motion for discussion debate. All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion passes. We will now enter discussion and debate, starting with the first raised placard, Chair Ethan.
Okay. I want to make myself very clear on where I'm coming from in this. I'm not applying for any executive or judicial position next year, and I don't intend on taking any position in the Senate outside of my unpaid senator seat. None of the increases in pay are going to affect me, and I'm still a proponent of a 15% increase, no less. If you do the math of relevant pay increases that have happened in positions similar both in pay and job duties to ASCSU, that is the equivalent of a more than 15% increase to catch back up from the more than 6 years without an increase in pay. And the argument of, well, let's increase it smaller this year and then do it again next year isn't going to accomplish anything. For one thing, we can't guarantee what happens next year. So if we want something to happen, we need to do it. On top of that, I've been in ASCSU for a while, and I am confident that the argument next year will be, we just increased it last year. Isn't it greedy to ask for more just a year later? If we want to increase, we need to catch all the way up because we aren't going to be allowed to keep up. I've also heard the argument that increasing 15% is unprecedented and will set a standard of increasing 15% or more every year. To that I ask, what precedent are we setting by not increasing for so many years and then cutting short in any way of that catch-up? The conversation has been had around not increasing the pay, but instead giving that money to the position's funds so that it can be spent to benefit students. But look at how much money we just passed to reallocate because we are nearing the end of the year and the cabinet hasn't spent them. If we pay the cabinet more, they will have more of an ability to spend time here working on ASCSUs and in turn, ASCSU projects, and in turn, spending more money to benefit the students. If we leave it as is, they aren't getting paid enough to focus here on this organization and projects are going to continue to be left unfinished. I'm extremely excited for the projects that have been added to the job description. If we just continue as is though, those projects are going to get left off for duties and it's going to end up being me and other senators being the only ones carrying. Internal did add accountability measures, but projects are going to get left off when time runs out if members cannot focus purely on their duties because they have to focus on another job to pay their bills. Also, inflation over the last 6 years is 17%. 17. That's 2% more than the upper rate we are considering. So again, 15% isn't even good enough, and we are seriously discussing lowering that. To call oneself an advocate for the constituents, one needs to be advocating for a livable wage. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Waller.
I'm also a strong proponent of a 15% raise. I think the amount of work that legislative, executive, and judicial all do right now compared to their pay is actually inappropriate. I did the math and found that at $2.56 an hour, which is Colorado minimum wage. Keep in mind, this is them working every single week out of the year. But if they worked 10 hours a week at $12.56 an hour, they would amount to just over $6,000 for the year, which is more than some of the proposed raises would get us to at 15%. I think, especially, as it was mentioned, 15%, some have said is unheard of. But in my personal job, I've worked at this job for 7 years, and every single year I've received a 20% raise without fail, which means my raises have indeed been increasing, and it has been 20% consistently for the last 7 years. Furthermore, I don't necessarily agree with the argument of image, mainly because I was, and this is just my personal experience entirely, but I was in an organization that had a good image at one point. And before I was in the organization, I was looking at their image and they had a good one. And I assumed, or I thought that when I joined the organization, I should conform to that image, which is what I did. I lost some of my individuality when I conformed to that image, and I do regret losing that part of me that I only got back when I left the organization. And furthermore, if we don't raise the pay by this amount now, then when? I can honestly see in the future, right, hypothetically, say we raise the pay, right? In the future, I can see the next several years where we don't get a pay increase because of the increase we just did. So I think we should definitely go through with 15% now, based on all these factors. Thank you, I yield my time.
Thank you. And as we move on in discussion, if you find that your point's already been made, I encourage to use a yield to redundancy. But with that, Senator Trout.
Hey, y'all, this is going to take a little bit, but just some more food for thoughts. I believe in the 15% increase for a couple different reasons. Very similar to what Chair Athey and Senator Waller said. So I will not go into the fact that if we do it now, regardless if it's 10% or 15%, Senate's going to say, or people are going to say, we did this last year, so why do it now? So, but that argument's already been made, so I will move on. Additionally, I've heard the argument that it's unfair to student workers who have not had the privilege of being within this space that we pay ourselves more than minimum wage. As someone who was a student worker on campus, it feels disingenuous to say that someone who works at a coffee shop on campus has the same workload or even the same expectations as the ASCSU leadership, many of whom will be leading this organization, meeting with policymakers and leaders at all levels of government, including CSU, and being their primary points of contact, etc. And there are so many more examples, but I hope y'all get my point. Personally, I definitely didn't do any of that when I was a barista making minimum wage. Another argument is that this will open up a can of worms of, well, what will stop future administrations from increasing it to radical numbers? Personally, I think that's a little silly for two reasons, at least two reasons. A, we are having a hard time with doing a 15% increase, so I highly doubt anyone would even try to do a higher number increase. And B, we can only use roughly 22% of our budget for pay. And it is to my understanding that not only do we not even come close to that number now during this administration's pay, but that 22% threshold is still not being touched, even with the 15% increase being considered. I do, however, agree that students should be paid better than minimum wage set in Fort Collins, especially because 1256 is not livable for college students. Let's make that happen. Let us be the shepherds of change we are expected to be. For anyone who's returning in the 52nd Senate, I would love to write a resolution calling on the CSU administration to pay their employees a wage that we can actually live on. Thank you for listening to my 2 cents, and I yield.
Thank you. Director Ball.
So I am a proponent of the 10% raise. I was here last week to speak in opposition to the raise. I think the 10% is really reasonable. Have talked to multiple people, and I think the reasoning behind this is sound. However, I am very against a 15% raise. We talked about guarantees. Here are some guarantees that I have. I guarantee that next year, student employees will still not have a seat at the bargaining table to negotiate their own wages. I guarantee that baristas will still be paid a minimum wage. I guarantee that the student janitors that are here cleaning the LSC at this very same moment will be paid minimum wage again. I also can guarantee that students that are a part of CSU will continue to not know what ASCSU is. I can guarantee that at least one cabinet member will not fully fulfill their duties. And I can guarantee that touting that ASCSU members that clean, brew coffee, answer phone calls are worth less to this university and should be paid less than ASCSU members will not go over well with the students we represent. So with that, I would strongly advocate for a 10% raise, no more.
Thank you. Chair Silverheart.
Wow. Impressive. Darn it, I lost my whole train of thought. You put me on the secondary speech list. Thank you.
Mentioning that you cannot reserve time, so you just don't get the speaking time.
Point of order, Chair Silverheart already spoke, so technically by yielding, he would automatically go on secondary.
Did I yield?
Did you?
No. All right.
Thank you.
And kind of to counter a point that was made, I do not think necessarily increasing pay would ensure that, or even provide that much encouragement for executive members to do their roles. I know that's been a discussion of this year in terms of whether certain members of ASCSU are doing their roles or not to point out anyone specific or any branch specific. But I don't think necessarily a pay increase would be that much encouragement. I feel like having accountability and sticking to accountability would be much more applicable. And like Director of Finance Fowler said, what makes any member of the ASCSU executive department more important than a barista? I feel like we all have potential for change. Everyone, or I would say the majority of people in this room are not being paid for the work that they're doing right now. ASCSU is built a lot in part on the volunteering of time and effort from CSU students. So definitely after hearing what Director of Finance Fowler said, I'm more entitled to go with the 10% raise. And I'm also saying that as someone who is interested in joining the executive cabinet. Thank you, and I yield.
Thank you. Senator Sandoval.
Yield to redundancy.
Thank you. Senator Deason.
Okay, much of what I'm going to say, I'm going to yield to redundancy. I don't know, I'm very much on the fence with a lot of this. I think overall I am in favor of a general raise, which I think 10% certainly covers. And you know, I think what's important to consider is some members like those, there are some who don't do very much work. There are also many members who give more than their designated 20 hours a week to this institution. And I would argue that if they were to take their time elsewhere, such as Target, they could easily be making double what they make here. And, you know, there's a certain reason that they're here, and that's to do good for the student body and for everybody else. So I think, considering what everyone has said, I am in favor of a 10% raise. And that's because overall we are still getting a raise, and that is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Long.
And a lot of these points were covered previously, but I would, and I keep saying this, I would keep thinking, 4 to 6 years down the road, like what is this raise going to look like then? Because then, and people have talked about this, if it's like 20% raise or 25% raise, if we keep going up, there's just seemingly no end to the limit, I think. And I don't think 15% is completely unreasonable, but I think we have standards here to set at ASCSU, similar to what Hayden Deason said about how a lot of people, this is a lot of the work put into this organization is to benefit the community, not to be a profit. And I would like to I would caution against giving ASCSU members substantially increased wages when the ASCSU image is not the best at the moment. But yeah.
Thank you. Senator Williamson.
I just want to bring some attention to some points of conversation. I think that what our pay increase discussion should be around is whether or not who we are paying, who we have control over paying, is making a livable wage. We can't control the university. We can't control the changes that the university could make. And I think that it is a little bit harmful to think about stopping or halting progress because we can't change everything. If we apply that same logic to other areas, it's concerning because if we have the power to, we do have the power to increase pay more than other spots in the university, and that's definitely a privilege that I don't think anyone takes lightly here. But not allowing the people that we pay to have a living wage doesn't help the other people that we're comparing to. By just saying, we lots of CSU members, as someone that is a work study minimum wage employee for CSU, I think that, that minimum wage should be more, but seeing people who have the power to control how much they pay students and being able to pay students a living wage, not do it just because they can't change everything, halts progress in sort of every sense of the word. And so I think that that's kind of a damaging thing and road we're kind of going down here with comparing the not doing a livable wage just because we can't do it for everybody. If that's the case, then it's never going to happen. It's never going to get started if we can't start somewhere. So I want to take a note on that. And I think that a lot of concerns with the with ASCSU's image in a pay increase and why a pay increase, I feel like the answer doesn't need to be anything far from it's expensive to live in Fort Collins and there's inflation and cost of living has gone up, so pay has gone up, period. That's kind of, I'm not sure why, or really if students would have more to say against that, then cost of living has gone up, so pay increase went up. So those are my 2 cents. I yield.
Thank you. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to exhaust the speakers list. Yes, exhausting the speakers list finishes the speakers list that we have currently. Senator or Speaker Pro Tem Baum.
Motion to exhaust the speakers list.
Is there a second?
Second.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. Senator Castro Perez.
Also, we're talking about so we have 3 options. And right now we're only talking about 2. And actually, President-elect Long had mentioned this in the emergency meeting that doesn't have to be 10, doesn't have to be 15. We could settle for something in the middle, which was 12.5, which is something that you mentioned. So I would just like to put that back on everyone's radar because it seems that we're only talking about the 10, we can't the 15.
Thank you, Chair Welch.
And first off, I want to make very clear, it seems like everyone is A-okay with a pay raise, which in my opinion is fantastic. We should be getting pay raise. And also, I think if we do 10 or 12, that will set a precedent that, hey, we can't do more than that. So like, if for the concerns that maybe sometime will be 20%, by doing like saying the guidance of like 12 or 10 will be like, no, actually you can't, the 4 weeks to keep it to that. So I think basically unit redundancy, I think maybe 12 or 10 would be the best thing because we're just a certain group of people. And secondly, not everyone here is paid. And I think we need to remember that. So if we do this pay increase, not how about half people will be paid, half people will still not be paid. And that's the same, like I wanted senators to be paid and I want to work on it. But at the moment, senators make $0, whereas we're not going to pay for executives to even more dollars, which is fine. But I think we can't do it too much because that sets a bad precedent that half the people in ASCSU deserve money, whereas the other half is volunteer work. You don't need money, which isn't supposed to do. But if we increase pay too much, it might seem like only half of the ASCSU matters. The other half does not matter as much.
Thank you. And that exhausts our speakers list. We'll now end discussion and debate. At this time, we're going to go into a series of votes. These will be placard votes. The first one will be on the 10%. So I would highly encourage y'all, everyone will have a vote for every single one. I would encourage y'all to vote, or I won't encourage y'all to vote a certain way, but I would encourage y'all to vote yay for the one you're most strongly in favor for, just to make it easier when we're counting votes, if that makes sense. So we will now hold a vote on the 10% increase. All for the 10% increase, please raise your placards. Thank you. All against?
Yeah, I have a question. I recognize we just started voting and now it's confusing. Because this is the same vote overall, and there's just 3 options instead of 2, we can make this be all just one vote. Because like we vote yay, nay, and abstain, right? Like that's 3 votes. Obviously there before, but we abstain also. But I feel like that's better than saying vote this or say no. Like it.
Yes.
It
So
feels weird.
4 options.
Yeah.
Yay for 10, yay for 12.5, yay for 15, or abstain.
Okay, I agree.
Or no.
Or no.
All right.
Or no, but that would be on if we're voting on the document. We're not voting on the
Thank
document.
you.
We're just voting on the change.
Or no for no increase.
Thank you. Yes.
I guess.
We're gonna do yay votes or abstentions. All right. So for 10% increase, all for 10% increase. Thank you. All for 12.5% increase. Thank you. And all for 15% increase. Thank you. Thank you. And with the most votes, 12.5% will be the changed, will be added in. Thank you. All right. And with that, that is all the changes, I believe, to the budget that we will talk about right now. We will now enter discussion and debate on the document as changed, starting with the first raised placard. Chair Athey.
I actually have a question. I would like to know what happened with the $20,000 discrepancy between the document worked on with the president, vice president, and administrative assistants, and the document that the president sent out. So I'd yield to President-elect Long for why that happened. About $20,000. In between the totals of the two, there's I can see where there's split out when you compare the two documents, but I want to know why that happened because I am not aware of the vice president approving those the discrepancy.
So I was not. I took a look at the original budget, and there may have been a couple of mistakes made along the way with that, but I would recommend taking a look at the previous budget, and I'm pretty sure one of the changes possibly made was to graduate affairs. No, not graduate affairs. Give me 1 second. I think I know what was changed.
Can we move to a different point of discussion and move?
I would recommend, I would like to motion for a 5-minute recess.
Would we, is there a second?
Yeah, circle back. That's fine.
Okay.
I rescind my motion for a recess.
Thank you. Chair Athey, the speaker has yielded his time back.
Yeah, since we have to circle back to this, I would reclaim my time at that moment, but I'm yielding for everything else.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion or debate at this time? Senator Sandoval.
I would like to say that President-elect Long and I and Administrative Assistant Schultz, I think that's her title. Advisor, well, Jesse Schultz, you know who she is.
Jesse Schultz's title is administrative assistant, yes.
Okay. We did take a look at the document. Rob did call me on Sunday, asking about the pay and the percentage of the pay, but I was not aware that he sent out a new document. I saw the new document with the wow, it's late, the Monday email. But I was told that there was a new document sent out and I was not included in that email.
Point of order, we are discussing the document here. This is what was sent to us, submitted to us. This is what we've been talking about for the last hour or so. So we're going to stay discussion at this document. Thank you. Other points of discussion and debate, Chair Welch.
I just want to make sure on this document that we're going to say that the payroll is at a 12% increase from the previous year.
12.5%
increase, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, it's reflected. Did you have any other points?
No. Nope, that was it, just to make sure it's in place.
Thank you. Senator Long.
So circling back, I believe I found the two discrepancies. One of them was a housing initiatives. I think the original one was 16,000. It was bumped down to 6,000 as per talking to Jesse Schultz. That change was not made. So I made that change, and I apologize to Vice President-elect Sandoval for, it was not my intention to not inform her that. It skipped my mind. It was an honest mistake. And the second one was the Colorado Student Government Coalition. The original cost for the lobbyist was $13,000 or $15,000. I'm pretty sure. And with Jesse Schultz' recommendation, that got bumped down to 5,000. But yeah.
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone to keep conversation germane to this document here. I think that the changes from the last document to this one is important, but everything else is not germane.
Can I reclaim my time? It's because we had to circle back. Because it was an unprecedented.
Senator Long will have to yield to you.
I yield to Sherry.
Thanks. Okay. So I do agree that one of the differences was $10,000 in state and local policy. However, there's another difference in fund balances. It was $111,960.41, and now it says $94,394.02. I'm not sure where that various accounts is filing from, but I think that was a missed point, and I'd like to know why it's different without the Vice President-elect's knowledge.
Point of information.
Chair Silver.
Point of information. Did you just refer to the fund balance?
I did not.
What were you?
Well, maybe I did. It's fund balances various accounts. But it's the change was not within the fund balance.
Can you refer to where in the document that point you're referencing is?
Yes, give me 1 second. Go ahead and move on while I look.
Thank you, Chair Silverheart.
Kind of still on this point. The reason I asked is because the fund balance, like little tab, is primarily for administrative assistant Jesse Schultz. She's still working on that. So I don't really think that us passing this tonight would really involve the fund balance. I know that a lot of the numbers are kind of weird and up in the air right now, so I wouldn't try and focus on that.
We're getting a nod from Advisor Deardahl, so I'm assuming that's correct. Thank you. Do you yield your time?
I do.
Thank you. Director Baller. Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Thank you. Seeing none, we will now close discussion and debate. We'll now move into a voting period. This will be a standard placard vote. All for passing bill number 5128. Please raise your placard. Thank you. And all against? Thank you. And all abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 17 to 1 to 2, Bill 5128 passes. Thank you. That concludes old business. We will now move into consent agenda. This includes the minutes from April 13th Senate session and the minutes from April 20th Senate session. Is there any dissent to these minutes?
Yep, I was just received the minutes a few minutes ago. Yeah, and I've taken a look over it. Looks pretty good to go. At the advice of Chair Athey, I was told that I did not have to read these minutes in full, or.
Okay, let me explain that a little bit further. If we want to have everyone be able to look, anyone in this room be able to look at them, they need to be read in full. However, if we are all right with taking parliamentarian clerk's word for it and that we think it's fine, we don't need to read it because nobody's getting to look at it. That's why I said it was fine. Does everyone understand?
If everyone would be more comfortable as well, these could possibly be sent in the weekly email for next week. Yes.
Yes, but we would have already passed them at that point.
Point of information, what exactly in the previous minutes are we discussing? I'm a little lost.
I'll yield to parliamentarian clerk.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's not that we're discussing any particular provisions in the minutes. It's just that we didn't have the minutes completed until today.
Yeah. They're just records from last time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Are there any other, and is there any dissent to passing these minutes? Senator Sandoval.
I don't have a dissent. I was just wondering if I can make a motion to take if we can take Kevin's word for it, so we don't have to read out the minutes.
Yes, we don't, yeah, that sounds fine. If everyone's good with that, can I just get a nod? Thank you. All right, seeing no dissent, that is our consent agenda. We will now move into committee reports, beginning with budgetary affairs. Oh, parliamentary clerk.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I move to add an item onto the agenda. Let's see. Apologies. There we go. Mr. Speaker, I move to add the swearing in of the president, vice president, and speaker of the Senate after ending roll call and before the fight song.
Is there a second? All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. Will the parliamentarian please make that change? We'll now move into committee reports, beginning with budgetary affairs.
I don't have much to say. Thank you all for an amazing night, an amazing year. It's been fantastic. I love ASCSU. Peace out.
Thank you. Internal affairs.
I'm so proud of my committee members for staying until 6:30 this last week to get through the rest of our docket. As of tonight, the 51st Senate ends, and so does my chairship, and I really loved being the chair of the internal affairs over this year. My committee members were dedicated and visibly cared about making ASCSU the best it can be, despite its many hardships this year. Samantha May, my vice chair, has been a fantastic teammate to get through the year, and I couldn't have done it without her. Thank you for a great year. Just really quickly, if you are planning on running for internal affairs next week, I would like to chat about the position. I don't plan on running, so please let me know. I yield.
Thank you. We'll university affairs.
All right, I'll start. So first off, I want to thank every single person in ASCSU. Thank you very much for working on this year, which wasn't a fun year. We had to come out of COVID online and had to figure out how to do it in person. That was very difficult. It was very difficult for me to run a committee doing that. And so thank you for everyone who went to my university affairs committee and was there the entire time, because it wasn't easy to figure out what to do, but with the great committee member, it was very easy. Not easy. It made it easy to learn how to do stuff. So first off, thank you very much to everyone in committees and everyone in my committee, because obviously my committee is the best, but everyone else is probably good too. And secondly, thank you very much to my vice chair, Hayden Deason. You're a fantastic vice chair, and I'm really happy you're the vice chair, so thank you very much. And then I guess thirdly, thank you very much to my interim secretary, Sammy Trout. Thank you very much for taking the minutes. It's over 10 out of 10 minutes. I really like your minutes. If you want to learn how to take minutes, talk to Sammy, follow what he does, and they'll be good. I love them. And so, as this Ariani Terry said, I also will not be rerunning for his position. And so, if you are interested in running for University Affairs, you want to talk about it, come to me. Also, to Speaker-elect DeSalvo, if you know any of the people coming senders, if they're interested in becoming the University Affairs chair of running, if you want to let them know that I'll happily talk to them about the role, you can. I don't know how much you can talk to them, but if someone's mentioned to you they want to run, I'll happily talk to them about them. Talk about the position to them. Same with anyone in here if they want to talk about as well. And also with that, if you are elected as University Affairs chair, you get a gavel. You don't get a gavel, you're too. Yes, I know. I know. But the thing I found out is I'm going to talk to Mike Alice-Sabellas, and I'm going to talk to suggest to Senate next year, maybe buy gavels for the other two committees. They don't seem to be too expensive, so I will look into that. And also, unfortunately, most senators are not paid. So even though I probably will not be a senator next year, I will happily look into ways with all other wonderful people looking to ways to pay senators. I want to help with that. So I believe every single senator should get something in return for being a senator. Because yes, you got good on the resume, but you all worked very hard. So I feel like we definitely needed to find a way to make you all get a better reward. I will happily continue to work with people to figure out how to do that. And that's everything. Thank you very much for being in ASCSU. It was fantastic working for you all. I loved it very much, and I love being the chair. So all of you have a great rest of your evening. Great finals. Yep. Now you give my time. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we conclude committee reports, if we could have a round of applause for all of our committee chairs. Thank you. And both of our caucus chairs are not here. Is there a member from the Women's Caucus that would like to report? Seeing none, is there a member from the Diversity and Inclusion Caucus that would like to report? Seeing none, thank you. We will now move into legislative officer reports, beginning with the Speaker of the Senate report. Let me pull mine up really quick. I don't have anything super long. I have a little time later for that, but I just wanted to let y'all know. So typically the last session we look at the long bill. This wasn't finished yet by SFRB, so this will not be looked at in the 51st Senate. This will be looked at in the 52nd. But yeah, I'll be around in Fort Collins till June 1st, which is the end of the technical end of my term. So if y'all are thinking about running for anything, reach out to me. I can help you out or give you advice if you need it. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for my speaker report. Speaker Baum.
Hey y'all, waiting for my last report. Kind of crazy to say that, but congratulations everyone. With everything passed and all the bills, our budget is at a 0. So round of applause to all of that. I got more to say in my speech later on. Thank you for Parliamentarian Clark, and thank you to Speaker of the Senate Hunter for just being such cool and workable people, I guess. I don't know.
Work them out.
It's late, so. But at the end of it, oh, and lastly, our Ramsey Stress flyers are here. So if I can recruit all y'all to at least grab a bunch of them and post them in your colleges, respective colleges, that'd be awesome. And because we are running kind of behind and it's on Monday. So there's that, and that is the report.
Thank you, Parliamentarian.
If I can get the microphone.
Yeah, wonderful. Hey, Senate. So since I'm not a senior and I'm not graduating yet, I will not be talking at senior recognition. And so I'm just going to have my speech here, and this isn't a final goodbye per se, but yeah, let's see. I had my speech pulled up and now it's gone. There we go. Yeah. Although this isn't a final goodbye, this is likely the last time that I'll be addressing y'all as the parliamentarian. I wanted to bring about some of my introspective on the close to 2 years that I've been in this role. For those who are, for one, interested in holding this position in the future, or as I've joked with Brandon, for those who didn't get Speaker Pro Tempore. This role, like many of the roles that we have in Senate, is what you make of it. There are long nights. Oftentimes, the parliamentarian will find themselves working over the weekends as bills trickle in and people make changes. You'll find an ever-increasing frustration with the formatting in Microsoft Word, and you'll likely end your term thinking about the things that you could have done rather than the things that you did. In contrast, you get to be a part of every single bill yeah, and to the extent that you're considered a collaborator or even a co-author, and other times you just put the number on the bill. But no matter how big or small your contribution is, you come to learn of all the amazing things that your colleagues are doing in the space. You watch as the language and the policies and the list of endorsements in each bill grow from its inception to the moment that it's signed by the president. Come to learn about the ins and outs of this organization and its governing documents like the back of your hand, and play an instrumental role in the efficiency and legitimacy of the space. And when Senate functions at its best, the parliamentarian is often in the background, in the shadows. And when we faced obstacles, people will often look to you for guidance in getting us back on track. It's exhausting, but incredibly fulfilling and humbling. And I wouldn't have traded a moment or a second that I held this title for anything different. And I remain deeply honored to all of y'all for giving me the opportunity to come back in this position and be a part of the Senate one more time before leaving abroad. I'm also incredibly excited to begin chairing the Constitution Caucus, which will be meeting tomorrow from 2 to 3. And so please join, participate, add your voice to the space. Everyone is welcome. I will continue to be here as a resource until August, but there are times that I wish that I came back sooner to get to know more about you all and the initiatives that you're a part of within these chambers and beyond. These 2 to 3 months that I've been back in Senate and the 3 years that I've been in this organization remind me of the unique potential for us to amplify the voices of our fellow students, to provide deeply needed services to our community, and to strive to push this organization and our institution to live by its principles of social justice, diversity, and inclusion. The space is far from perfect, and when you're in ASCSU for a while, it's incredibly easy to become pessimistic and to lose faith. But as it is within our own system of democracy, representation is not a privilege, it is a right. And it's the work that we do today that ensures future RAMs can keep that right. So continue to push the system to do better. Challenge yourselves with the same energy that you challenge others. And in the words of the great John Lewis, never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into some good trouble, necessary trouble. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Recruitment and Retention Officer.
Sorry, Ben. I cannot follow up with anything that was just said. All I can say is it was a pleasure to be the recruitment and retention officer this year. I appreciate every senator in the room and the work they've done over the course of the year. I'd also like to thank legislative cabinet for all the work they've done. So yeah, especially the chairs and everyone else. I don't really know what's in store for me next year when it comes to ASCSU. I'm definitely not done in the organization. I know there's been a lot of worry over that, but I don't know. So if any of you are interested in running for recruitment and retention, please come talk to me. I'd be happy to hold a meeting at any time and talk about the positions. So yeah, I yield.
Thank you. That concludes the legislative officer reports. Again, I want to say thank you for an amazing legislative cabinet this year. So if I could have a round of applause for the legislative cabinet. Thank you. We will now go into Senator and Associate Senator reports. Just a warning, it is 9:30, so if you keep things on the briefer side, that would be amazing. Chair Athey.
Okay, mine's like a real report. It's not any kind of speech or anything. The graded gold books are here, finally. I know it's the last session, but they're finally here. If you didn't get one, they're in the box at the back. Or if you did get one or didn't, but would rather a digital copy, don't fret that I printed too many. They're going to be handed out next week also. And keep an eye on the documents page on the website for it to be posted by the end of this week. Skipping through my thing just a little bit. Also, this version, per the request of Senator Burge, has the fight song in it. So since we are singing that, you might want to grab a copy before we do.
Yeah. All right, Senator Trout.
Hi, y'all. First off, I want to thank everybody within the 51st Senate or 51st Senate, Executive Judicial. I joined Senate a little bit later in the last year, and I have really found my place in here. Even, with its ups and downs, its pros and cons and all that jazz. But I really just want to thank each and every single one of you for giving me some form of advice. I have had the pleasure of hopefully, I'm pretty sure I've talked to everyone at least once, and it has been my greatest pleasure. And I am so excited to continue working within this space in the 52nd Senate. So there's that out of the way. But so for a real report, the UCA is not done with its events. I would encourage y'all to go. So let's see, Rocky Horror Show is still going. Very exciting news. The Friday, April 29th show has been sold out. So thank you to everyone who pushed the message for Rocky Horror Show and all that. If you still want to go, do not fret. On Thursday, April 28th at 7:30, that show is still open. And if you want to see it over the weekend, there are openings for Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st. The Saturday is at 7:30 and the Sunday is at 2. There are so many other events that are going on, and I unfortunately do not have the time to go through the 4 pages of events, but I highly encourage y'all to go and support the arts. Again, thank you guys so much for allowing me to plug the UCA at these reports and just welcoming in within the space. And with that, finally, for my last yield to the 51st Senate. Okay. No. 51st Senate.
Thank you, Senator Williamson.
All right, I'll try and get through this quickly. Couple end of the year events. Craft Corner, which is a collaboration between the Pride Center and the back office, has our final event on Monday. It's a tie-dye party, so if you want to come tie-dye with the PRC in the back office. Saturday at 1 p.m. is the first ever LGBTQ plus Pride softball game at Ram Field. So the softball team is having a Pride game. The first pitch is thrown out by Dr. Ashley Grice and national anthem sung by yours truly. So that's happening. There's going to be t-shirt giveaways. It's going to be a really fun event. Saturday at 1 p.m. at Ram Field. And then we've got the Rambunctious comedy show put on by Ram Events coming up as well on, why isn't the date easier to find? That's problematic. Okay. Also on this Saturday, April 30th at 6 p.m. in the Grand Ballrooms. Definitely go see Rocky Horror Show if you have a chance. There's a lot of talented people over there in the UCA. So I yield. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Welch.
All right, so during my university report, I forgot to thank two groups of people, but it makes sense. They're not as great as Senate, so that's what I forgot. But the two groups I want to thank are, thank you very much to the executive branch for all the best facing you did and everything. Like, I know you're all good, but thank you very much. Also, thank you very much to the Judicial for everything you did. I'm really happy about you all did a very good job with everything. Yeah, especially with the games. Like, I think that because we lost the game and you get free pizza, that built character. So thank you very much for that character. That's clearly why you made us lose, obviously. And also thank you very much for the people that got elected into the next term. I think you'll do a great job. So we could give a round of applause to the executive branch, the judicial, and to the
Thank you, Senator Rencher.
On the note of incoming members, make sure to keep the front desk updated if there's any new senators or associate senators coming in from your college councils. We want to make sure that our speaker-elect Nick DeSalvo knows how to reach out to them so that they can feel included in ASCSU.
Thank you. Are there any other senator or associate senator reports? Senator Sandoval.
I will keep mine short and brief, but the First Generation Collective Board is basically a non-existent board that was started last semester, but didn't really do anything this semester. So thank you for helping me find my space, my voice, and letting me be part of Senate and be a senator for a virtually non-existent board. And I will save the rest for my VP speech.
Thank you. Chair Silverheart.
One sentence. Thank you for passing my condom bill.
Awesome. Are there any other senator or associate senator reports? Seeing none. All right. We will now go into our senior recognition. If there's any graduating seniors that want to come up here and talk a little bit. I know I do. I know Brandon does. Director Baller, would you like to start? Yeah, feel free to come all the way up here.
I'm nervous. All right, so I'll go ahead and get us started. I didn't know that senior recognition, well, I forgot it was a thing until like yesterday when Brandon reminded me, but if you know me, you know I can never turn down the opportunity for a speech. So I first want to start off by thanking President Dixon and Vice President Gebrselassie. I still can't say your last name after all this time. But Christian and Mary, I truly do appreciate the opportunity to serve in your cabinet and consider you friends. I've really loved working with you this year, and especially coming out of COVID, serving in ASCSU has been a highlight of my senior year. I'm also thankful to Jesse, Ali, Pam, and Mike, excellent advisors that have really helped me grow as a leader and have made me feel supported every step of the way. I also would be remiss to not thank the other people who have given me opportunities in the past. Thank you to President Taylor, who let me join her cabinet during COVID. It was my first experience in cabinet, and you know, we made the best of it. I'm also eternally grateful to former Vice President Alex Ferris and President Amundsen for encouraging me to join ASCSU and get involved. My time in ASCSU at CSU would be dramatically different if it hadn't been for this organization. I've truly loved my time serving students in the ASCSU, and I truly am thankful for all the friendships, for the laughter, for the debates in the office, for the challenges, the pushback,
all of it. To President Long, Vice President Sandoval, Speaker of the Senate, Nick DeSalvo, I'm so excited for you in this next year. I think you all are in great hands and I'm really excited for what you achieve. Know that I'm cheering you on and I'm supporting you and I wish you immense success. And while I will be leaving CSU, I want to encourage all of you to know that I want to be a resource. I would love to stay in touch. Please know that I'm here to support all of you in any way I can. I'll leave you with a story. So the summer after my freshman year, I had the opportunity to go to Moscow, Russia. Very random story. You can ask me how I ended up there at a different time, but that's another story for a different day. But one day I found myself there talking to a student who was my age. She was a student at Moscow State University, and we were talking about the lives we led, what things we did to spend our time. And one thing I told her about was student government here at CSU, that I had the opportunity to be a part of that, to represent my peers. And this girl could not believe me. She talked about she was in awe as I shared that I got to manage, be a part of the Student Fee Review Board, which oversees millions of dollars in student fees, that I get to speak on behalf of my students. And this girl was wow. And with that, I always try to remember that it is an immense privilege to serve our students. It is an immense privilege to have a student government here at this university. And it's not something we're entitled to. And with that, I just want to remind you all that this is such a joy and a privilege. So enjoy every second of it and don't take it for granted. And also remember who you serve. You serve the students. This organization isn't for our own gain, but for the benefit of our student body. So I'll leave you with a quote from President Truman, and it's, "An honest public servant can't be rich in politics. They can only attain greatness and satisfaction by service." So thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. I've truly loved my time in ASCSU, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Director Ballard. All right. Let's see. Who else? Any other I know there's more seniors in here. Sarah Shepherd.
Look at that shirt. Yes, take it, sister.
Thank you. I'll just start by saying, I'll keep it short and sweet, just like my time in ASCSU. Thank you all so much for a great year, for welcoming me and my voice. It's a damn shame that I won't be able to continue working with all of you, but I wish you nothing but the best in all your future endeavors. And I do sincerely hope that I get to cross paths with each and every one of you. And with that, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you all.
Gemma Boyenko, I don't know what to, former elections manager.
You want to do all first titles?
Yeah, every single one.
Every
Associate Chief Justice.
Chair of Budgetary Affairs.
Chair of Budgetary Affairs.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair.
Senator.
She who does too much.
She who does too much. Hi folks, and I'm gonna keep it short as well because I will cry. But I've served in this organization for 4 years, and it's something that I cherish really deeply, and it makes me really sad that I'm leaving this space. But before I leave, I'd like to leave you all with a piece of advice. And that is to give second chances, and to be open to second chances. Had people not given me a second chance, I wouldn't have been able to continue in this space and really grown and flourished. And same, if I had not given second chances to others, I would not have the amazing friendships and lifelong partnerships that I have. So I'd like you all to keep your minds open. I know this space can feel hostile at times or heated, but please try to take a step back and realize that we're all human at the end of the day. Some of us make mistakes, and some of us really want to restore what we have harmed. So with that, my final time, Mr. Speaker, I yield. Thank you.
Who would like to go next? Speaker Pro Tem.
Okay, fuck it. It's totally fine.
Hey, I'm just setting off with a bang, All right, so here's my little speech. Please bear with me. Dear members of the Senate, first let me say that it has been an honor and a privilege to have been your Speaker Pro Tempore for the closing months of the year. We have been through a lot together during my first year in the space, and I have seen myself grow more amongst y'all than in any other experience. So I thank each and every one of you here for having given me the chance to be placed in a position of trust. I do hope my tenure in the space was met with contentment and that I have fulfilled everything I have promised to you. From what I've been seeing in this spots was a return of smiles, laughter, and a fire began to rekindle. The fact that many of you are here voluntarily because you want to make meaningful change on this campus with no promise of recognition for a place that you'll only be here for only 4 years should tell you more about yourself than I can in a couple sentences. And I have seen it with when I was first a senator, first beginning to learn the ropes, growing my team of trusty business senators, passed legislation, and became an active member of this community is something that I am proud of and I shall not forget. But despite these personal achievements, it is time to close one chapter and begin anew. If I were to leave here with something that has kept me on this path of self-discovery, I still ask y'all to teach those before and after you to face fear with unclouded eyes. Because all of you are here are meant to shine like children do. And as you liberate yourselves from your own fears, your presence will automatically liberate others and subconsciously give them permission to do the same. So come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. There's this old saying for which I am modifying: behind every Speaker Pro Tempore is an even greater Senate right behind them. And for that, I thank you.
Are there any other seniors that would like to say something or be recognized? All right, I can give mine. All right, I have a little bit written down. It's a little messy, nothing crazy. But so I came here, I'm a second year, but I'll be graduating. So I've only been in ASCSU for 2 years. But I joined probably first or second week that I came to campus. Christian Dixon was the first person I met through the Liberal Arts College Council. But yeah, I was involved with the 50th Senate. It was a great experience. For those of you that were also involved, do you remember the long nights over Zoom and sitting at your computer, listening to usually faceless people talk and shout into a void. But it was a great experience. I gained so much respect for the organization. And then last year, I lost my senator election. So to be standing here like a year later as your speaker is such an honor and kind of crazy. I really didn't think I would be here a year ago, but I just want to say, like, I'm so proud of how much we've been through as the 51st Senate. We've been through a lot, and y'all have seriously like inspired me so much. The way you've, even right now, staying here till 10 o'clock, your drive and passion really like inspires me every day. Every single one of you have such amazing ideas and voices. I just am so excited to see where all of you go. And while my time is coming to an end at CSU, I'm so grateful to have gotten to know everyone so well. I just want to kind of end by naming a few people specifically. The first one I want to name is Mary Gebert Sadek, who is one of my best friends. I love Mary so much. I love laughing with Mary every day. She's a great person. I also want to name Chief of Staff Carter Ryder, who is also one of my best friends. Love her. Senator Hayden Deason. I met Hayden Deason through Residence Hall Association last year, and I'm so honored to be in the same room again, just not over Zoom this time. I also want to mention Jocelyn Orgy. I met Jocelyn through LADLC, which is the Liberal Arts College Council. And meeting Jocelyn at the retreat was so crazy because she was the first person I recognized outside of Zoom. Evan Welch, I remember when we first met, we were both I think we were the only two senators for liberal arts for a while. Sammy May and Bailey Shepard, y'all have been amazing. I only met y'all like fall semester, I think, but y'all have been amazing. Bailey Shepard is my vice president for liberal arts college council. Both are amazing people. Chairs Morgan and Chairs Ritter have both been amazing cabinet members. Kimberly Carasetto, amazing senator. Remember international security every day. Kevin Clark and Brandon Baum have been amazing legislative cabinet members. I could not ask for a better parliamentarian or speaker pro tempore. I could not have done it without y'all. And then I just want to say thank you to everyone in Senate. Y'all have been amazing. I'm so grateful for how quickly y'all move and how just efficient we've been this semester. And I wish you all good luck. Again, I'm here all the time. I'm always a resource, and I hope that we don't become strangers. And that's kind of all I have. Thank you. With that, we're going to go into our ending roll call. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Motion to use for roll call is pending roll call.
Is there a second?
Second.
All for?
Aye.
All against? This motion is adopted. We will now move into the swearing in of President, Vice President, and Speaker of the Senate. Is there a member of the judicial branch that can do this for us?
Got one more.
I know you got work to do the next two documents.
Okay, you got one.
You want
I got one more.
Photo, video, what do you want? You do photo, I'll do.
Yeah. Now I'm just gonna repeat after me. You can do it all in order, so no worries. I'm all ready.
I state your name.
You can go ahead. Oh, you all go in order.
Chelsea Elijah Sandoval.
I, Robert Law,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students
of the Associated Students
of Colorado State University
of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, y'all. Let's see. If y'all want to say a few short words, you can.
A few short words. For me, this is my second semester here in university in general. And to be leaving the second semester and going into my second year into university as vice president, it's a pretty big freaking deal to me. Like Christian said, first time I met him, first time Mary introduced me to him, I said, "Hey, I'm Elijah. I'm gonna be president one day. I'm taking your spot." Very bold of me, I know. So Christian, thank you for letting me be your shadow, and thank you for letting me learn with you. And Mary, thank you for teaching me and giving me the courage to do this. And Brandon, I have to say, I am glad that you won Speaker Pro Tempore, because if you hadn't and I had, I wouldn't be standing here. So thank you for that. I also want to thank Gemma for all of her hard work during the election period. I know it was very stressful. And to kind of piggyback off of what you said about second chances, I want to thank everybody in this room for giving me one. I know that I came in very like bull in a china shop and wanting things done a certain way. And I very quickly learned that that's not the way to make friends. So thank you all for giving me a second chance, because the people who gave me a second chance ended up being some of my best friends today that I will do a three-way call with for hours and hours and say, "Hey, I'm pissed. This is why. I don't know what to do." And they just listen to me rant. So
I'm honored to be your next vice president, and I look forward to some of the fun things that we can do. Real quick, Rob, thank you for choosing me to be your running mate.
Right, so I'm sure everyone here knows I'm not as good of a speaker as Elijah, but I will try my best. First of all, I wanted to just say, thank you all. There's been so many great senators in this room this past year. I just want to thank you all. And also echoing what Elijah said, thank you, Gemma, for being our elections manager on such short notice. And then, and I'll tell a little bit of a story. So I started off in BSOF as a member, and Alex Faria sent out an email to me, and she's like, have you heard of what BSOF is? I'm like, no, what is it? So then we corresponded that way, and I owe Alex Farias a lot to where I am today. She's been a great mentor and kind of inspired me to run for president. And from BSOF, I kind of learned what the Senate was, and from the Senate, I kind of learned from there. And then initially I was thinking, like back in like January, December, like, oh, maybe I'll go for director of finance or something like that. Then I actually talked to Emily Baller about it, and she actually told me, you could probably win president if you ran for it. So here I am. So I kind of owe Emily a lot too. That's kind of about it. I can't wait to start a new chapter. And thank you, Liza, for being my running mate as well this past election cycle. But yeah, I can't wait to start a new chapter here at ASCSU. I'm really excited to see what happens this next year. Yeah.
Everyone, the past month has been a moment of incredible reflection for me. I remember the first time I stepped into this space was to be ratified for BSOF, and I really didn't know what ASCSU was all about at that time, but I dove in head first, of course, and it's still really crazy to me that I was approached with such grace by a lot of the folks in this chamber. I remember too the vote of confidence that took place, and many of you, rightfully so, expressed quite a bit of hesitancy about my candidacy. But over time, we got to build that bond and those relationships, and a lot of you, I think, saw that I wasn't in it for a title. It wasn't a stepping stone, and it wasn't to stroke my ego. It was because I wanted to continue to do good work for the students of Colorado State University. And that's why each and every one of us should be here. And if you've led a legacy of that, you should be proud of the time that you've served in this organization. Thinking back to reflection, my father never graduated high school. He was a hot tar roofer for over 30 years, doing backbreaking labor to ensure that my family had everything that we needed. And to think that his son, as a freshman, was able to climb the ranks of student government as a freshman, it's incredible. And I think it's a testament to what you could do at Colorado State University, a testament to what you could do in the state of Colorado and in this nation. And going forward with that, I look forward to working with those of you who plan on staying. And again, thank you to those who have mentored me through this process. Thank you.
Congratulations to our newly elected administrative positions, executive boards, Speaker of the Senate. If we could have one more round of applause for our awesome. And I say this hesitantly, we will now move into the fight song.
I
would like to ask Mr. President Dixon to lead us in one more fight song.
Okay, go get the green and gold. I'm ready so you can act.
Everybody up.
You can smile, it doesn't mean I know how this is supposed to go.
This one works.
Just for everyone to
Here we
know,
go.
fight, so if you have the gold and green book, fight song is on page 28 for those who do not know it.
All right, I'm not gonna start with the key, we're just gonna jump right in. Fight on, you stalwart ram team, on to the goal. Till buffaloes like us thunder has down the field we thunder. Knights of the green and gold, fight with all your might. Say what? Fight on, you stalwart ram team, fight, 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 go Rams!
And one final thing before we all go, I would like to shout out Associate Justice Marcus, who has Kamito. I totally forgot to do that the last meeting, but Associate Justice Marcus, would you like to pass along Kamito?
So yeah, I got past this even though I'm not a senator technically. And it was a great honor for sure. And it's definitely fitting that I get to hand out the last one because this guy, probably the nicest dude I've ever met. First person to say hi to me in the office, first person to really show me around the world here. And he really does all the work that I hope all of we aspire to do in this space. So Bailey Shepard, why don't you come get this down?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't take him home. Tight smile.
Congratulations, Senator Shepard. And for the last time for the 51st Senate, we will now adjourn.
That's like a picture. There's a bunch of them.